Chapter 1340. Feng Xiaoxuan was found by the cleaning staff the next day, so the news of her Prince Charming being kidnapped immediately jumped to the front page of the school BBS. Even at night, the weather was still very hot. Feng Xiaoxuan was covered with heat rashes, so she could only stay in the school infirmary. She took advantage of the time when the school doctor left to call her people. Kill Luo Shu at all costs. Boss, I was just about to report this matter to you. Luo Shu and Su Tu are together. Feng Xiaoxuan was stunned. Su Tu? Which Su Tu? Which Su Tu? The one from the Su family is very difficult to deal with. Luo Shu seems to have a special relationship with him. If we touch Luo Shu again, we will provoke him. I can't get over this if I don't kill Luo Shu. Luo family had a grudge against her, plus the recent events. She and Luo Shu had long been fighting desperately. Boss, be patient. The people on the other side advised Feng Xiaoxuan. We don't want to fight with Su Tu for the time being. Although the other forces have been quiet recently, the police have increased their attention to us. At this time, we have to be low-key. Su Tu was really not to be provoked. He didn't take sides with the black and white. He was alone and had no power. However, people in the circle were not willing to provoke him. A person who could be so feared must have some ability. Feng Xiaoxuan calmed down the hatred in her heart. She rubbed her eyebrows. I know. She couldn't be impulsive. The current situation was very bad for her. If she took a wrong step, she would be doomed eternally, not to mention revenge. Feng Xiaoxuan left the school infirmary after she felt better. When she went out, she met Jiang Chenjing with a gloomy face. Jiang Chenjing strode over as if he didn't see her. Jiang Chenjing. Jiang Chenjing. Feng Xiaoxuan called him several times, but Jiang Chenjing ignored her. Han Yuan chased after her while panting. He ran past her like a gust of wind. He looked nervous as if he had done something wrong. Feng Xiaoxuan frowned and looked at them disappearing one after another. She forced herself not to think about Jiang Chenjing. What he did had nothing to do with her. Feng Xiaoxuan was ready to leave the school to discuss with her people. When she just walked to the school gate, she saw Shi Shang coming down from a car. She held the car door and talked to the people inside. She then leaned in. The car door blocked her figure. She couldn't see what she was doing. After a while, she closed the door and watched the car drive away. Shi Shang turned around and entered the school gate. He met Feng Xiaoxuan on a narrow path. Luo Shu, don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you have Su Tu's support. Feng Xiaoxuan clenched her fists. Shi Shang sneered. When did Su Tu support me? Did he help me fight, or did he help me find someone? I need his support. I should be the one supporting him. Shi Shang's words reminded Feng Xiaoxuan that their previous fight had nothing to do with Su Tuesday. Shi Shang strolled past Feng Xiaoxuan and said viciously, Feng Xiaoxuan, if it weren't for your luck, I would have killed you in that alley. Feng Xiaoxuan froze in place, but the anger in her heart could not be suppressed. How could she lose to someone who had nothing? No. Feng Xiaoxuan suddenly made a move. Her 5 fingers grabbed Shi Shang's shoulder, but she couldn't even touch the corner of his clothes. In a flash, the person who was standing in front of her suddenly appeared on her side. Feng Xiaoxuan quickly changed her direction and hit Shi Shang's face. Ah! Prince Charming and Luo Shu are fighting. Luo Shu shamelessly bullied Prince Charming again. Come on, Prince Charming. Come on. The students coming in and out of the school gate shouted at them. Some cheered for Feng Xiaoxuan, and some scolded Shi Shang. In short, the scene was very chaotic. More and more people came to watch, but the more Feng Xiaoxuan fought, the more flustered she became. She was not Luo Shu's opponent. If she lost at this time, how shameful would it be? Before Feng Xiaoxuan could figure out how shameful it would be, she had been thrown to the ground by Shi Shang. The noisy scene suddenly quieted down. Feng Xiaoxuan lost. Shi Shang clapped his hands and looked at Feng Xiaoxuan condescendingly. Feng Xiaoxuan, you'd better buy a tomb for yourself, so that you won't have a place to bury yourself. She bent slightly and looked at Feng Xiaoxuan's angry eyes. The corners of her mouth curled up, but her voice was extremely vicious. You will die. Don't be afraid. Feng Xiaoshuan couldn't wait to punch the face in front of her. Why are you looking at me like that? Shi Shang squatted down. You planned to kill my family, and now you want to kill me. I don't hate you, but you still have the nerve to hate me. How shameless. Feng Xiaoshuan gritted her teeth and squeezed out a sentence from between her teeth. You people of the Luo family all deserve to die. Yes, we all deserve to die, but you deserve to live. Shi Shang stood up and smiled sarcastically. Then you should cherish the time you have now. You can't kill me. Shi Shang's eyebrows were full of arrogance and confidence. She couldn't kill the female lead because of her halo, but the female lead couldn't kill her because she couldn't do it herself. Don't tell her that other people didn't have as much experience as she did, and that other people relied on their strength to crush the weak. She also climbed up step by stepping on mountains of corpses and seas of blood. She also destroyed the mountains in front of her one by one. There was no mountain that couldn't be overcome. It depended on whether you had perseverance and ruthlessness. Feng Xiaoshuan crawled on the ground in embarrassment. The others looked at each other and didn't dare to help her. After a few seconds, she got up by herself and limped out of the school. After the people involved left, the onlookers in the background began to discuss. Luo Shu is so powerful. Why didn't I think Luo Shu was so powerful before? Sigh. Luo Shu's personality has changed a lot recently. She fights without saying anything. Are you blind? It was obviously Feng Xiaoshuan who attacked first. Luo Shu was just defending herself. Does she need to use so much strength to defend herself? She did it on purpose. The two sides suddenly quarreled and had an in-depth discussion at the school gate. As a result, everyone, including Shi Shang, was on the radio. I hope the following students can do a thorough self-reflection and stop fighting in school. Grade 1, Class 9, Luo Shu. Grade 1, Class 7, Feng Xiaoshuan. Grade 1, Class 8, Lin Jing. Grade 1, Class 9. There was a long list of names at the end. Shi Shang was used to being on the radio, so he didn't care. However, it was different for the others. Some of them were probably on the radio for the first time. They cried and shouted that they were wronged. Shi Shang didn't understand why they were so agitated. The radio was just an announcement, not a punishment. Did they have to be so nervous? Later, Shi Shang found out that school credits would be deducted if they were on the radio. School credits. It was a very important thing in any school. Shi Shang counted the number of times she was on the radio. Her school credits were probably all deducted. No wonder the school didn't make trouble for her. Once all her school credits were deducted, the school could force her to drop out. Insidious. Anyway, she didn't have to be in school. So what if they deducted her school credits? I was fearless. Chapter 1341. Su Ye. Boss, are you there? Shi Shang looked at the message sent by Su Ye. He was a little confused. She even addressed him as boss. Su Tu's breeder. No way. Su Ye. What the hell is your name? Su Tu's breeder. Literally. Su Ye. Don't you know? Su Tu's breeder. What? It took Su Ye a while to reply. Su Ye. Su Tu fell in love with a little girl. He and the little girl are very close. His mother is so angry that she almost went crazy. I think he is really crazy. She is still underage. How can he do that? I didn't expect him to be such a hardcore person. Su Tu's breeder. Was this little girl talking about her? Shi Shang took a mirror and looked at herself. She was quite beautiful. Although she was a little young, she was still a beauty. She was not a little girl, right? At your age, all good-looking girls are called little girls. The system suddenly jumped out and explained considerately. Su Ye, it's true. He is with a little girl. It's better for him to be with you. Didn't you say that you want to keep him? Hurry up. There is still a chance. I don't want to arrest him for raping an underage girl. Su Tu's breeder. Why are you looking for me? Shi Shang felt that he couldn't talk about this topic with Su Ye anymore. He quickly changed the topic. Su Ye's thoughts that had been led astray immediately returned to normal. Su Ye, we have found the clues you gave us last time and arrested him. After interrogation, we found that he did kill Luo Yen. But he didn't admit to the two people in the school dormitory. He said it had nothing to do with him. Su Tu's breeder. So? Su Ye, our director wants to ask you for help. Check the school. Su Tu's breeder. Your director is so careless. He dares to use me, a person with an unknown background. Su Ye, our director even dares to use Su Tuesday. Do you think he dares not to use you? Su Tu was a scammer. The entire police station was not enough for him to play with. The director had no psychological pressure to use such a person, let alone a whistleblower who always provided them with clues. At this time, in the director's eyes, this whistleblower had changed from a suspect to a suspect that could be used. Fortunately, the bureau chief didn't believe everything that others said. He would send someone to verify it again and make sure that there were no mistakes before making a conclusion. Otherwise, he would have reached the end of his career as a bureau chief a long time ago. They were really at their wits' end and couldn't find anything about the school case. That was why the director asked her to contact the Shi Sheng. Breeder Su Cha. I don't know. She would be crazy to accept this kind of investigation. Su Ye was speechless. Su Ye, there's a fee. Breeder Su Tu. I'm not short of money. Su Ye. The negotiation failed. Su Ye went to report to Su Tu gloomily. Shi Shang took the phone and told Su Tu what Su Ye had told him just now. Breeder Su Tu. I've become a lowly. Su Tu. Something like that. Su Tu's breeder. Su Tu. Come over tonight if you have the ability. Su Tu. Window surfing fee. The Shi Shang transferred a large sum of money to him. Su Tu. Miss Luo Shu, see you tonight. In the evening, Su Tu came in through the window with a big bouquet of roses. Shi Shang's expression at that time could be described with one word: embarrassment. You climbed through the window with a bouquet of flowers? Are you crazy? Su Tu threw away the withered flowers on the Shi Shang's table and put the one in his hand on it. Isn't it rude for me to come empty-handed? You still know how to write the word rude. It's rare. Shi Shang tooted twice. Su Tu pulled Shi Shang into his arms. She was very small at this time. He could hold her completely at once. You seem to like to talk back to me. You dare to talk back to me? I don't dare, my queen. Su Tu held one of Shi Shang's hands and stepped back a little. He made a standard aristocratic salute. Shi Shang suddenly became silent. She stared at Su Tuesday. She didn't know whether she was looking at him or at the void. Luo Shu. Su Tu suddenly hugged her and completely wrapped her in his body. He didn't like the look in her eyes just now. He couldn't see himself in her eyes. There was only emptiness. Well, Su Tu, do you want to suffocate me? Shi Shang was a little out of breath. Su Tu quickly loosened his hands. He looked down at Shi Shang, who was panting. Her pink lips gently opened and closed. Su Tu's eyes narrowed. He didn't know how he kissed her. He almost never took the initiative to kiss her. She was the one who kissed him. Her taste was very familiar to him. But every time he kissed her, he could feel a deeper throbbing. It was like a call from the soul. Su Tu loosened Shi Shang after a long time. She opened her eyes and stared at him without blinking. What are you looking at? Su Tu loosened her and avoided her gaze. Su Tu, one more time. Shi Shang reached out and turned his face back. There was a different kind of light in his eyes. No. Su Tu continued to move to the side. His heart was beating so fast that it seemed to jump out. One more time. Su Tu gritted his teeth. 1 million. Last time, you said 1 million for sleeping with you for a night. Shi Shang was furious. Don't raise the price. No, I'm leaving. Su Tu immediately walked to the window. Even if the air conditioner was on, he felt like he was in a steamer at this time. It was too hot. He just wanted to leave here quickly. Here you go. Sue too. Would he be beaten to death if he raised the price to 10 million? He didn't know if he would be beaten to death, but he knew that he would be done on the spot. Shi Shang raised his chin and looked at him. Sue too walked back slowly. It took him a lot of effort to suppress the restlessness in his body. Luo Shu, I don't want to touch you. Shi Shang. What did he mean? Sue too saw that Shi Shang's face changed a little. He quickly explained, I didn't mean that. I feel uncomfortable when I touch you. After all, he was a young and vigorous man. It would be strange if he didn't feel uncomfortable. That's your business. Anyway, she didn't feel uncomfortable. She just wanted him to kiss her now. Sue too was helpless. He had to hold it in even if he felt uncomfortable. Who asked her to be so young? This account was recorded in a small notebook. When she became an adult, he must get it back. Sue too didn't know how he was pulled to the bed by Shi Shang. The bed in the dormitory was very small. Shi Shang had no problem sleeping alone, but it would be crowded if two people slept together. Shi Shang was lying in his arms and playing games. He just stared at him from the side. She was having a lot of fun. Sue too stared at the ceiling. For a moment, a crazy idea flashed in his mind. But when he looked sideways and saw her gentle side profile, he suppressed the idea. He looked at the time. Luo Shu, it's time to sleep, right? Shi Shang put down his mobile phone and turned off the light. He hugged him sideways and shrank into his arms. Sue too. Wait, you don't want me to leave? A proper bureau chief would definitely not handle a case like this. This was not a proper bureau chief and he had a backer. So, he was willful. There was nothing wrong with that. Don't bring this into reality. This was not realistic. Chapter 1342. There was no light in the room, so Sue too couldn't see anything. But the hot air that she breathed on his chest kept spreading to his whole body, stimulating his nerves. Sue too's mouth was dry. He licked his lips. Luo Shu, why did you choose me? Why did I choose you? We've never met. Why did you choose me at once? He was very sure that he had never met her face to face, nor did they have any interaction with each other. Because it's you. There was no reason. Because it's you, so I chose you. When Sue too woke up the next day, he found that Shi Shang was lying on his body. He laughed and put her on the bed carefully. As soon as he moved, Shi Shang opened her eyes. She seemed to look at him and then closed her eyes again. She leaned over and hugged him to continue sleeping. Sue too had to give up the idea of leaving. The noise outside was getting louder and louder. Sue too sighed. It seemed that he couldn't leave today. It was impossible for him to go out of the door or the window in broad daylight. Shi Shang didn't get up until 8 o'clock. She took out her phone and was about to order breakfast. She only remembered that Sue too was there when she ordered takeout. She got out of bed and changed her clothes. She didn't avoid Sue too at all. Luo Shu, can't you go to the toilet to change? Sue too gritted his teeth. Shi Shang put on a t-shirt and casually pulled her hair. It's yours anyway. You've touched it. Why are you afraid of seeing it? Don't pretend. Sue too smiled bitterly. What are you going to do? To buy breakfast for you. Shi Shang took the key and went out. Don't run around. This is the girls' dormitory. Sue too was speechless. Shi Shang never wronged him. She didn't care about herself, but the food that Feng Ci ate was definitely the best. When Shi Shang came back with breakfast, the school had already started classes. She could only climb over the wall. The place she climbed over the wall was randomly chosen. As soon as she jumped in, she heard someone talking. Chen, I'm going abroad tomorrow. Silence. No one responded to the voice. I won't go back to China in the future. Still silence. About that day. I'm sorry, but forget it. I know you don't want to talk about it. I won't talk about it. He paused. Are we still friends? Shisheng raised her eyebrows. Jiang Chen and Han Yuan? Did Han Yuan mean that Han Yuan's was Jiang Chen? This young man sure has guts. Jiang Chenjing was still silent. After a long while, he finally opened his mouth. His voice carried some indiscernible emotions. Do you think we can still be friends? Han Shuo forced a smile. It was my wishful thinking. You, take care of yourself. The sound of someone leaving stopped after a while. Chen, be careful of Fang Xiaoshuan. Jiang Chenjing didn't say anything. Han Yuan ran past Shisheng as he left. Jiang Chenjing stood there for a long time without moving. Shisheng had no choice but to leave. Even if Han Yuan slept with Jiang Chenjing, Mr. Plot still allowed Han Yuan to leave the country. The plot was irreversible. In any case, it was impossible for Jiang Chenjing to be with Fang Xiaoshuan now. Shisheng returned to the dormitory with breakfast. Su Tu was cleaning up the dormitory for him. The messy dormitory did not look like a girl's dormitory at all. He could not bear to look at it. Fortunately, it was not dirty, just messy. Move out and live with me, Su Tu suddenly said. Ha! Shisheng turned to look at him, his face full of surprise. Young Master Su, I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Su Tu pinched her face. He was amused and annoyed at the same time. What are you thinking? I just want to take care of you. I don't feel at ease if you live here alone. What did she eat here all day long? It was either takeout or instant noodles. She was still growing. How could she be so tormented? The longer he stayed with her, the more he wanted to be with her. He wanted to prolong the time a little bit more. It seemed that no matter how long he stayed with her, he would never get bored. Go to Nanyuan Villa? Su Ye was also there. If she lived there, wouldn't Su Ye make a fuss? Shisheng was furious at the thought of that scene. She would not go there. Of course not. I have a house outside. I rarely go there. If you go there, we can live there. Su Tu did not dare to bring Shisheng to Nanyuan Villa. His mother was still there. He was not afraid of his mother, but he was worried that Shisheng would hear something unpleasant. Oh, okay. It did not matter where they lived anyway. Okay, I'll ask someone to clean it up. Su Tu immediately called someone to clean it up. You can't wait. Shisheng looked at him playfully as he hung up the phone. Su Tu almost choked on his saliva. Did he show that he couldn't wait just now? No, right? Absolutely not. Even if he did, he would not admit it. Su Tu said seriously, you're not allowed to eat junk food in the future. You're not short of money. Can't you eat properly? I'm too lazy to go there. It took more than 20 minutes to go to a good restaurant near the school. Then you're not too lazy to go there today? You're different. Su Tu was stunned. You went there because of me? Shisheng's eyebrows were slightly curved. Of course, I want to give you the best. Su Tu suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. He held the spoon and did not eat for a long time. Shisheng touched his hand. It's cold. Hurry up and eat. Luo Shu. Su Tuesday, Shisheng interrupted him and was particularly serious. My name is not Luo Shu. My name is Shisheng. You have to remember this name. It will accompany you forever. Su Tu was puzzled. Shisheng? Shi as in Shemu, Shang as in Shunga. He seemed to have heard it somewhere before. Shisheng. This name was very familiar to him. Su Tu began to wonder if he had lost a part of his memory. Otherwise, how could he feel familiar with a completely strange name? Moreover, he did not feel strange or suspicious when she suddenly said that her name was Shisheng. It seemed that everything was so natural. Shisheng held his chin and asked him, What do you want to ask? Su Tu had a lot of questions, but he did not know how to ask. After thinking about it carefully, it seemed that it was not that important. It did not matter whether he knew it or not. Su Tu shook his head. Shi Shang is very nice. Is it nice? Su Tu nodded. It was very nice. Shi Shang pulled the corners of his mouth and smiled. In his era, Shang was not a musical instrument. Shang was a kind of creature. They were like weeds, humble and lowly, but extremely annoying. The person who gave her this name at the beginning hoped that she would be like those lowly creatures and never be able to make a name for herself. Su Tu got up and hugged Shi Shang from behind. No matter when, I'm always here. Shi Shang looked up at him with a smile in his eyes. You have no choice. Su Tu's mouth also showed a faint smile. Yes, he had no choice. From the moment she suddenly broke into his world, he had no choice. He could either get her or destroy her. He was very lucky that he got her. And there was only one choice she gave him, which was to become her man. There was no room for negotiation. Friendly reminder. Shang is a fictional character. It is needed for the plot. In fact, it is just a musical instrument. Chapter 1343. On the same day, Su Tu packed up Shi Shang's things and moved them into his own apartment. The apartment was not very big. Maybe there were not many people living here, so the apartment was deserted. You stay in this room. I'll stay opposite. Su Tu took Shi Shang to his room. You don't want to stay in the same room? Shi Shang was disappointed. Su Tu rubbed his head and laughed. I don't want to suffer like last night every day. If this happened a few more times, he wouldn't be able to live anymore. Su Tu moved her things into the apartment and put them one by one. See if there's anything missing. I'll ask someone to buy it. Shi Shang leaned against the door. There's someone missing. Su Tu was speechless. Ding dong. Open the door. Su Tu asked Shi Shang to open the door. He thought it was a delivery. However, Shi Shang didn't come back for a long time. He frowned and quickly went out of the room. Shi Shang and a beautiful woman were standing at the entrance. The atmosphere was a bit strange. Mom, why are you here? Su Tu quickly went forward and pulled Shi Shang behind him. The beautiful woman raised her eyebrows and snorted. If I don't come, are you going to give me a grandson? Su Tu looked cold. Mom, I told you not to intervene in this matter. Why? Can't I see it? The beautiful woman raised her voice. She pushed Su Tu away and went straight into the house. Su Tu, I'm telling you, I'm your mother. Don't think that you can do whatever you want now. Su Tu pinched Shi Shang's hand. Go into the house. Shi Shang shrugged and turned to walk into the room. Stop. The beautiful woman scolded. Su Tu, what are you afraid of? Since you want to be with her, do you think you can just hide? Mom, let's go back and talk about it. Su Tu's face was getting colder. The beautiful woman seemed to be angry. She stretched out her well-maintained hand and pointed at Su Tuesday. She didn't say a word for a long time. Finally, she slammed the table. Let her come and sit down. Mom. The beautiful woman frowned. Well, if I walk out of this door today, you can forget about being with her. Su Tu frowned and looked at the beautiful woman from head to toe. The beautiful woman snorted and sat down on the sofa. Su Tu hesitated for a while, then he pulled Shi Shang over and sat opposite the beautiful woman. Su Qingsong's mother looked down at Su Qingsong's fingernails. After a while, she cleared her throat and asked, What's your name? Luo Shu. Book of Luo? Why do you have such a name? Shu as in Jing Nu. Su Qingsong's mother raised her eyebrows. Oh, who's at home? There's no one at home. You're studying now? What year are you in? First year of high school. Su Qingsong's mother asked several questions in a row. Before she came, she thought that Su Qingsang was just a silly girl. Now, she had a different opinion. This little girl was much more mature than other girls her age. From the moment she introduced herself, she did not reveal any surprised expression. She was so calm that it was as if she was a stranger. Why do you want to be with Su Tu? Shi Shang tilted his head and looked at the man beside him. There is no reason. Because he is Su Tuesday. Su Qingsong's mother was surprised by this answer. You're still young. You don't know what love is. No matter what this little rascal says to you, you have to weigh it carefully in your heart. Otherwise, you'll regret it in the future. Back then, I was fooled by his father into joining him. Su Qingsong's mother waved her hand. I'm not here to oppose you. I'm here to tell Su Tu not to have a grandson. The little girl is still young. Su Tu, don't be such a beast. Su Tu had made a lot of trouble during this period of time. He had cried, made a fuss, threatened to hang himself, went on a hunger strike and committed suicide. If her little rascal had made up his mind, it was useless for her family to say anything. But the little girl was so innocent. How could she watch her little rascal harm others? Now it seemed that this little girl was not a kind person. She could not tell who would harm who. In this case, she did not care anymore. Su Qingsong's mother got up. Okay, I'm leaving. Looking at him makes me angry. Su Tu. Shi Shang. Su Qingsong's mother came and left in a hurry. Shi Shang stood at the entrance and poked Su Tuesday. What's your mother doing here? Su Tu thought for a moment. Before she came in, she probably wanted to scare you away. After she came in, he looked at Shi Shang for a moment. He was probably frightened by his wife's calmness, so he did not want to harm her. In the Su family, whatever he did, he was a scourge. Usually, they could turn a blind eye to him. But it was not surprising that they had a big reaction when he harmed an underage girl. But Su Tu was also very innocent. In fact, she was the one who took the initiative first. After Su Tu and Shi Shang moved into the apartment, Su Ye also came once. After performing a Su-style roar, she said something similar to what Su Tu's mother said and left in a hurry. In the middle of the night, Shi Shang received a bombardment of messages from Su Ye. Su Ye, I'm telling you, Su Tu is really finished. Can you do it? Do you still want to chase after him? If you don't do it, you won't even get the dregs. Su Tu's breeder. What are you doing in the middle of the night? Shi Shang didn't look at the keyboard and typed a sentence very smoothly. Su Ye, it's boring to work overtime. Su Tu's breeder. So you come to harass me? Su Ye, what harass you? I'm sharing information with you. You don't know that Su Tu and the little girl are living together. Su Tu's breeder. What's the fuss? Su Ye. No, didn't you say that you want to chase after Su Tu? Is this your reaction? Su Tu's breeder. Then how should I react? She has already chased after him, okay? Su Ye. Su Ye was very depressed. What kind of people were these? The name of the report must be long. Happy working overtime. In the blink of an eye, Su Ye's name changed, and she also inexplicably said such a sentence. When Su Ye saw the mailbox notification, her delicate body suddenly trembled. She opened the mailbox with trembling hands. After reading the contents, Su Ye bumped her head on the table. How could they let him live? Her beauty sleep. Although Su Ye was angry, she quickly reported it to the boss. Everyone worked overtime together. She couldn't suffer alone. On the other side, Shi Shang got up from the bed and opened the door. The door of the opposite room was closed. She reached out to open the door. She thought it was locked, but the door was opened easily. Shi Shang went in and went straight to the bed. She quickly climbed into the bed. Before Su Tu could react, there was a soft little person in his arms. Luo Shu. Su Tu was helpless. What did she mean by climbing into his bed in the middle of the night? Give me the money, Shi Shang said generously. Su Tu. It was not a question of whether he could pay or not, it was a question of whether he could sleep tonight. How could he sleep when she was here? After that, no matter whether he locked the door or the window, Shi Shang could come in. In the end, Su Tu could only compromise and moved her room to his own room. But he made it clear that she was not allowed to flirt with him. Therefore, Su Tu, who slept every day as if he was fighting a war, had no energy to cheat her. #hashtag today, I want to buy a ticket with the flavor of Haitian flour #hashtag buy a ticket #hashtag act cute and roll on the ground #. Chapter 1344. Recently, all the underground gangs were very nervous. Nobody knew what was wrong with the police. They started this year's operation to crack down on prostitution and gangsters. It was the biggest operation in recent years. The most terrible thing was that they caught every one of them. The police suddenly seemed to be cheating. This group of people was very nervous. Some people contacted Su Tu and tried to buy some information. However, Su Tu was not in a good mood recently. He offered a sky-high price. This group of people could only scold Su Tu through the screen. They felt that they were quite evil. However, at this time they were not evil at all. The real black-hearted profiteer was here. All the gangs suffered losses. Feng Xiaoshuan's Rose was no exception. They were not local forces. Not only were they excluded by the local forces, but they were also targeted by the police. It was a small matter that their development was limited. If this went on, they would have to withdraw from here. Feng Xiaoshuan was so worried that her hair almost turned white. Finally, she gritted her teeth and asked the foreigners to find a way to sneak in. It would be better if they could get some guns. The last deal was ruined, so their armed forces were now very weak. Whether it was fighting with the local forces or the police, they were at a disadvantage. Boss, I'm afraid it's not possible. The investigation is too strict recently. The man in the black shirt frowned. Why don't we avoid it first? The other forces began to withdraw. The police had too many things in their hands this time. Those people could not compete with them. They could not show up at this time. Feng Xiaoshuan held her chin and said after a while, "Contact Jones." Boss. The man in the black shirt was anxious. Feng Xiaoshuan's face sank. Haven't you seen what happened recently? The police are targeting us. Even if we retreat, they will not let us go. Do you understand? The man in the black shirt certainly saw it, but they could not contact that person. Feng Xiaoshuan clenched the cup in her hand. Her eyes were full of hatred. I must take revenge, no matter what price I have to pay. Nightfall Club. This was the largest entertainment club in the city. It was very lively at night. However, it seemed a bit strange today. There were many bodyguards standing at the door. Every guest who went in was not dressed like they were here to have fun, but more like they were here to attend a banquet. And they were indeed here to attend the banquet. Su Tu came in with Shi Sheng. This person from the Su family is here. He actually brought that little loli with him. How bold of him. Everyone in the circle now knew that Su Tu was with a little girl. They didn't think it was strange. There were many unique tastes in this circle. Su Tu's behavior was nothing. The first reason why Su Tu could attract so much attention was that he was good-looking. The second reason was that there had never been a female creature around him. Young Master Su, long time no see. So this is your little girlfriend? Young Master Su's taste is really unique. The man sized up Shi Shang several times with a hint of sarcasm in his eyes. Mr. Shen, remember to pay me the balance from last time. Su Tu let go of Shi Shang's hand and hugged her waist instead. 30 million yuan. Don't forget it. 3,000. President Shen gritted his teeth. Su Tu, don't go too far. 40 million. You. President Shen glared at him fiercely. The money will be paid tomorrow. Su Tu, remember the rules. If you dare to spread it out, I won't let you go. Isn't President Shen very familiar with my reputation? You win. Don't fall into my trap. President Shen was so angry that smoke came out of his head. In fact, he regretted in his heart. He knew that Su Tu was a shameless person, but he still went up to him just now. It was all because he was angered by Su Tu before. His IQ was gone. President Shen found a reason for himself in his heart. Only then did he feel better. Shishang poked Su Tu's waist. Your ability to raise the price is awesome. 30 million yuan became 40 million yuan. Looking at President Shen's expression, it was estimated that it was not 30 million yuan before. Su Tu got close to her ear. You spend money to buy secrets. When it's time to raise the price, you have to raise the price. Shishang didn't know how big the team behind Su Tu was. Although he never brought people with him, he would answer the phone and arrange people to deal with things. It proved that there were people behind him. These people were so afraid of Su Tuesday. It was estimated that they were not only afraid of the things in his hands. Shishang suddenly pushed Su Tu a few steps to the side. A person behind her fell. The red wine in his hand was poured on the person beside Shishang. If it weren't for Shishang pushing Su Tu, the red wine would have been poured on her. Ah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The woman who poured the red wine quickly apologized. Someone pushed me just now. The woman's expression was full of apology. She said that someone pushed her, but there was no one behind her. Instead, Feng Xiaoshuan was standing beside her. Feng Xiaoshuan looked through the crowd and met Shishang's eyes. She moved away in just a second. When the people next to her moved away and made way, Feng Xiaoshuan's figure had disappeared. What did Feng Xiaoshuan want to do just now? She definitely didn't want to make a fool of her by pouring the wine on her. They were not fighting between little girls now. It was a life and death struggle. Did she want to lead her to a place where there was no one and then kill her? The possibility was very high. Su Tuesday, Su Ye appeared out of nowhere and interrupted Shishang's thoughts. Su Ye's face was full of heavy makeup. Her clothes were also very gaudy. As she approached, there was a burst of fragrance. If it weren't for her voice, no one would know that she was Su Ye. What a magical disguise. Su Tu took a step back in disgust. Shishang looked at her from head to toe. Where's your spy? Su Ye quickly waved her hand and glared at him. Why did you talk nonsense when you knew it? Did you want to die? Su Ye pulled Su Tu's sleeve and pulled him to the corner. Why are you here? Why did you bring her here? Are you crazy? Su Tu pulled his sleeve back and looked indifferent. The invitation was sent to me. How can I not come? Then why did you bring her here? Su Ye went crazy. Is this the first time you know that bastard? If he sees, he doesn't dare to touch my woman. Yes, he doesn't dare to do it in public. Can you guarantee that he won't do it in private? Su Tu, is your brain eaten by a dog? Hurry up and send her back. Su Ye was tired. She really didn't know what her cheap brother was thinking. She was a good girl. If he liked her, he should treat her well. Why did he bring her to such a place? Su Tu looked at the crowd. It's too late. What? Su Ye followed Su Tu's gaze. She quickly rushed into the crowd and disappeared from Shishang's sight. Over there, a tall man was coming over with Feng Xiaoshuan. The man was of mixed race. He had the elegance of an Eastern man and the wildness of a Western man. The combination of the two didn't seem to conflict. This man. Su Tu, long time no see. The man spoke Chinese very fluently. He didn't sound like a foreigner at all. Su Tu just smiled and didn't say anything. Chapter 1345. The man's name was Jones. Shishang's first reaction when he heard the name was that he was poor. He wondered if the person who named him would regret it if he knew the profoundness of Mandarin. Little girl, what are you laughing at? Jones's eyes fell on Shishang. He seemed to be very interested. Shishang stopped smiling. Due to her height, she could only look up at Jones. Her tone was as arrogant as ever. I'm laughing at myself. It's none of your business. Jones raised his eyebrows and looked at Su Tuesday. Su Tu, this little beauty has a strong temper. Is he flirting with me? Shishang turned his head and asked Su Tuesday. Ha ha, Su Tu, you are so lucky to meet such a fun person. Jones was obviously more and more interested in Shi Sheng. Fang Xiaoshuan seemed to have noticed it, but she just looked at them without saying anything. When Jones introduced her, she nodded politely to Su Tu and Shi Sheng as if it was the first time she met them. Su Tu, why don't you exchange your little cutie with my little cutie? Jones suddenly said. This time, Fang Xiaoshuan couldn't maintain the expression on her face. Jones. Sure. Jones raised his index finger at Fang Xiaoshuan. Fang Xiaoshuan's eyes were full of disbelief. Although she knew that Jones was not a good person, she didn't expect that he would make such a request. Was it true that one wrong step led to all the wrong steps? Su Tu looked indifferent. The air around seemed to be condensed into ice. Ha ha ha, don't be nervous. It's just a joke. Jones suddenly laughed. It seems that you care about this little cutie very much. It's really rare. I thought you don't like women. Shi Sheng kicked the rest of his words back into his throat. Jones covered his abdomen and was forced to step back. The crowd around him dispersed, and the middle was immediately empty. Shi Sheng smiled. Don't be nervous. My foot slipped. How dare you flirt with I? You are courting death. Jones's facial expression changed very quickly, from anger to surprise, and finally to dangerous interest. Su Tu pulled Shi Sheng from behind. Shi Sheng looked domineering. Stand away. Don't get splashed by the blood. Su Tu was speechless. You have personality. I like it. Jones stood up straight and clapped his hands pretentiously. Shi Sheng smiled sinisterly. I hope you'll like it later. Little beauty, you're really... Jones's voice trailed off as Shi Sheng rushed over. The little girl looked small, but her explosive power and moves could not be underestimated. Jones believed that his hand and foot skills were good, but when facing this little girl, he did not know how to deal with her. The fight between the two of them was very exciting. The people around them were also stunned. This little girl could actually take so many moves from Jones and not be at a disadvantage. Wait a minute. The situation didn't seem right. Jones looked at the gun pressed against his forehead and the corner of his mouth twitched. Little girl, this is a little boring. Who would take out a gun in the middle of a fight? Chaotic footsteps sounded from behind them. A group of bodyguards in black quickly surrounded them and pointed their guns at the Shi Sheng. Those who were able to attend this banquet had seen the world. Only some of the female companions screamed in fright and ran out of the club. The others retreated to a safer place and whispered to each other. The interesting part is yet to come. Shi Sheng smiled with curved eyebrows. Do you think you can leave safely in the middle of so many people? Jones was not nervous at all. He was very confident. Shi Sheng tilted his head and looked at Su Tuesday. Su Tu signaled that he was fine and that he could kill him if he wanted. This person was not a good person internationally. There were a lot of wanted orders. If Shi Sheng killed him, he might even receive a lot of silk banners. Come here. Shi Sheng had to say. She was not asking if he was fine at all. Su Tu was speechless. Su Tu calmly walked to Shi Sheng. Shi Sheng took out a watch from his pocket and gave it to him. Put it on. Jones had been watching Shi Sheng's behavior as if he was watching a show. However, his expression froze at that moment. Shi Sheng put away his gun and looked at Jones's incredulous eyes with a faint smile. You can't see whether I can leave or not, but you certainly can't. She should shoot when she should. What nonsense was she talking about? Jones's body fell backward. The world was spinning in front of him. He was going to die like this. She actually dared to shoot? There seemed to be screams and the sound of bullets in his ears. But he could not see anything. Su Ye felt that she had participated in a fake undercover mission. The undercover target was killed inexplicably. The person who was killed was her brother's girlfriend? WTF. Jones was someone that even the Interpol could not do anything to. He was still a high school student. His shooting posture was even more accurate than hers. His momentum was even more domineering. This was all fake. It was fake. Su Ye, the director is calling you. Su Ye put on a towel that she got from somewhere and walked to the director's car with a hopeless look. The director motioned for her to get in. Su Ye, what happened inside? The surveillance cameras of the entire venue were deleted and there was no way to recover them. Now, except for Su Ye, no one knew what happened inside. Su Ye held the towel tightly. She was in a dilemma. Should she betray Su Tu now? Or should she betray Su Tu? Thinking of the consequences of betraying Su Tu, Su Ye quickly suppressed this idea. Before being loyal to the people and the party, she had to be alive first. And in this matter, they did not kill innocent people indiscriminately. She would be loyal to Su Tuesday. Everyone was selfish, and Su Ye was no exception. Su Tu was her brother after all. She could not be so selfless to betray Su Tuesday. Although this matter had nothing to do with Su Tu, the underage girl was the one who shot. Not to mention, she was quite handsome. Bah! I don't know. Jones was suddenly shot, and then the venue was in chaos. Su Ye used all her acting skills. Of course it was too chaotic. The light was dim. I couldn't see anything clearly. Su Ye did not know anything. The director looked at her. Although he was a little skeptical, he still reluctantly believed her. Call Su Tu over and let him try to recover the surveillance. The Bureau will pay for it. Su Ye was speechless. He might be the one who deleted the surveillance cameras. He would not do it no matter how much money you paid. The point was, Director, I remember that our funds have not been approved yet, right? The director glared at Su Ye. You know so much. If you can't find Su Tu, I will deduct your salary. Director, be reasonable. Can I find Su Tu casually? I remember that Su Tu also attended the banquet today. He and Jones. Director, it's easy. I will help you contact him. Su Ye immediately interrupted the director. But I really can't decide whether he will help or not. Don't deduct my salary. Don't think that I am afraid of you because you have a backer. Chapter 1346. Feng Xiaoxuan had slipped away when Shi Shang started to attack her. Every time she saw her, she always had a bad feeling. At this time, when she heard the report from her subordinates, she was glad that she had slipped away. Otherwise, she might have become a corpse. All her plans were not as fast as that woman's speed. With a casual move of hers, his plan had been ruined. Feng Xiaoxuan quickly ran in the alley until she felt safe. She stopped and gasped for breath while holding the wall. Why was she restricted? Feng Xiaoxuan now understood that the woman was unscrupulous. She would do whatever she wanted without considering the consequences. Today's matter, if it happened to other people in high positions, no one would dare to do it directly. But she dared. Feng Xiaoxuan leaned against the wall and gasped. She had to calm down and think about what to do next. Da-da-da. The sound of footsteps came closer and closer. Feng Xiaoxuan immediately looked behind her warily and found that it was just a drunk woman. She hurriedly walked deeper into the alley. Feng Xiaoxuan suddenly stopped. The dim old lights on both sides of the alley dragged her shadow into a line. In the darkness in front of her stood a black shadow. Even if there was no light, Feng Xiaoxuan could recognize who the black shadow in front of her was. Why was she here? The black shadow in front of her seemed to be twisting into a monster with fangs and claws, rushing towards her. The light around suddenly disappeared, leaving only darkness. The gloomy airflow was surging around. She couldn't hear anything. Her limbs were stiff and numb as if they were not her own. More uneasiness and fear came from the depths of her heart. What was she afraid of? Why did Luo Shu make her so scared? The black shadow over there was moving, stepping into the dim circle of light from the darkness. She was still wearing the dress at the banquet, holding the gun that killed Jones in her hand. At this time, the muzzle was slowly pointing at her. Feng Xiaoxuan, you run fast. At this point, Feng Xiaoxuan had nothing to say. She straightened her back and said, You can kill me or cut me. Shi Shang pointed the gun at Feng Xiaoxuan's leg. I can't kill you. The bullet was shot out with her voice. Ah! Feng Xiaoshuan knelt down, covering her leg. Her eyes were full of hatred. She said that she couldn't kill her, but the next second, she shot. Was she crazy? After shooting, Shishang took out his mobile phone and sent a text message. Feng Xiaoshuan's forehead was full of cold sweat. Blood flowed from her fingers. She gritted her teeth and asked, "What do you want?" Shishang kept her phone. "I'm looking for someone to kill you." She couldn't kill Luo Shu, but someone could. After all, she wasn't the only one. Feng Xiaoshuan's arm. Her arm was numb, followed by a sharp pain. Send a message to your subordinates? Do you think I'm fooled so easily? Luo Shu, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Feng Xiaoshuan roared in pain. Why? Shishang was unconcerned. Do you think it's that easy to be a ghost? That anyone can be a ghost? She was a ghost ghost was to become was to become a ghost? She would be beaten if she stole other people's jobs. Soon, a few cars appeared at the entrance of the alley. Feng Xiaoshuan's face turned pale when she saw those people. She remembered that these people had a grudge with her before. They had threatened to kill her. Feng Xiaoshuan was taken away by these people. Shishang stood behind and waved. After these people disappeared, Shishang took out his mobile phone and pressed a button. Now, let's get rid of the forces left by the female lead. It was a little difficult to fight them one-on-one. Let's ask Yao Yaoling for help. The next day, more than half of the news was about the crackdown on pornography and illegal activities. All kinds of purges happened one after another. Not only the underground forces were purged, but also the officials were purged. How could these forces not have connections with the officials? As long as there was a vine, there would be a lot of trouble. The higher-ups had said that this matter would end here. But the bureau chief of the municipal bureau was awesome. He directly disobeyed the orders and investigated to the end. He was determined not to tolerate this. The bureau chief wasn't a general without an army. You had a backer, so did he. He was slightly better than the bureau chief. After this incident, the bureau chief didn't have much time to care about what happened at the venue. Su Ye was complaining to Shishang about their bureau chief. First report, do you have a crush on your bureau chief? Su Ye. Nonsense. Our bureau chief's son is older than me. Su Ye. But I like his son. Ha ha ha. First report, Su Ye was probably the most idle. Everyone in the police station was busy. She was in charge of chatting with Shishang and sorting out the information that Shishang reported from time to time. Su Ye, haven't you been in contact with Su Tu recently? Shishang glanced at the people in the kitchen and silently put down his mobile phone. If Su Ye knew that she was the little girl that she was talking about, would she kill her? It was better not to let her know. Buzz. His mobile phone vibrated twice. The number was not saved, but Shishang remembered the number. Hello. Miss Luo, the chairman of Dingxing Group wants to ask for someone. Shishang's mouth twitched. You haven't killed her yet? The person on the other end of the line was a little guilty and lowered his voice. No. But if we hand her over to Dingxing, she won't be far from death. Miss Luo, what do you think we should do now? Just wait for death. The chairman of Dingxing Group was the person who held the auction in the bar. He was the female lead's uncle. Please don't, Miss Luo. We were wrong. We shouldn't have had such thoughts. Please help us, please. Kill her now. Immediately. I'll take care of Dingxing. But are you going or not? Damn it, a bunch of idiots. Yes. We'll go now. Before Dingxing Group could get the girl, their company was in trouble. Naturally, they didn't have time to find Feng Xiaoshuan. Feng Xiaoshuan's forces were almost destroyed by Shishang's violence. Some of them must have escaped, but they definitely didn't have the ability to save Feng Xiaoshuan. Therefore, no one could save Feng Xiaoshuan this time. The male lead? Jiang Chenjing had followed Han Yuan out of the country a few days later. Later, Shi Shang heard that Jiang Chenjing had an accident abroad. It seemed that he got into a fight. Han Yuan blocked a knife for him. Although his life wasn't in danger, his body became very weak and he lost the ability to do that. Jiang Chenjing didn't know if it was out of guilt or other feelings. Anyway, he had been taking care of Han Yuan since then. Sometimes, Shi Shang wanted to ask Su Tu what kind of grudge he had with Jiang Chenjing. But after thinking about it, he gave up. It was none of his business. After they left, it would be someone else's grudge. There was no need to add unnecessary memories to himself. Su Tu didn't do anything to Jiang Chenjing after that. He was determined to make her fat all day long. Making money had become an amateur activity. According to the transaction amount he said was tens of millions, Shi Shang estimated that he had a considerable amount of savings. It was enough for him to spend money. However, why did he have to spend her money every time? She paid for everything. She had to pay for a kiss. She had to pay for holding hands. Not to mention sleeping with him every day. That was a sky-high price. She felt that she could go bankrupt at any time. Chapter 1347. Luo Shu from the 9th class of sophomore year. Someone is looking for you at the school gate. Shi Shang was still on the radio every day. Her credits were probably in the negative, but Su Tu found someone to help her, so she could still stay in the school. Shi Shang told him several times that he didn't want to stay in the school, but Su Tu inherited the good traditional virtue of, "I don't want to listen to you." Shi Shang held a popsicle in his mouth and walked slowly to the school gate. The scorching sun baked the earth, and a layer of heat waves seemed to be in the air. "Su Ye, are you crazy?" Shi Shang leaned on the wooden railing of the school gate and looked at the woman in the police uniform outside. Su Ye was also very angry. "Do you think I want to come here? The police station is very busy, okay? Su Tu asked me to bring it to you, or he won't work. If he doesn't work, the director will skin me alive. What can I do?" Su Ye turned around and went to the police car. She took out a box from inside and stuffed it directly into Shi Shang's hand. Then she took the popsicle from his mouth and threw it into the trash can next to him. "If Su Tu sees you eating this, you will be in trouble." Her brother had never taken care of people like this before. Since he was with this little girl, he almost became a house husband. Shi Shang held the box. The box was cool and comfortable in the hot weather. He opened the box. There was ice cream inside. Su Tu would send it every day. He went to the police station these days, so he asked Su Ye to do it. Shi Shang shared half of the ice cream with Su Ye. "Are you still investigating the transnational smuggling case recently?" Su Ye shared half of the ice cream and felt better. She sat in the shade and ate with Shi Shang across the railing. "Yes, this case involves too many forces. It's very complicated. That's why the director asked Su Tu to do it. The police station has to suffer for a while. Can't we just get rid of them all at once? What's so complicated about that?" Su Ye curled her lips. "Do you think our police station is the same as the mysterious person before? We can't do it just like that. Even if they wanted to do it, they didn't have the ability." Speaking of this, Su Ye was still depressed. The informant suddenly blacklisted her. She was so angry. Su Ye grumbled for a long time and only stopped when she finished her ice cream. "All right, mission accomplished. I'm leaving." Shi Shang waved at her. After school in the afternoon, Shi Shang went directly to the police station. This group of people all knew that this was the wife of the cheating king. Even if they knew that she was underage, no one dared to say anything. They were both willing parties, and it was not illegal. "That's all for today. Dismissed." "Sigh, it's finally over. Let's go and eat. I'm starving. Let's get back to work after we're full." A group of people rushed out of the conference room. When they saw her standing at the door of the conference room, they winked and walked past her. Su Tu was at the end of the line. Seeing her standing at the door, she took a few steps forward and asked, "How long have you been waiting?" "Look at the time after school." Shi Shang showed him his phone. "She finished school at 5, and it was almost 7 now." "I'm sorry, it'll be a little long today." Su Tu patted her head. "Did Su Ye send it over to you?" It tastes a little strange." "Really?" Su Tu frowned. "I'll make you something else tomorrow. What do you want to eat tonight?" "Hey, you two, can you not show off your affection in front of a group of single people?" Su Ye passed by with a pile of documents in her arms. She gritted her teeth and said, "Let's go home for dinner today." Su Ye quickly added, "It's my birthday today." After Su Ye left in a hurry, Shi Shang asked Su Tu in confusion, "It's her birthday?" Su Tu shook his head. "I don't know." Shi Shang was speechless. Was she his biological daughter? Well, she was not his biological daughter. Since Su Ye said it in a hurry, Shi Shang had to buy a gift at the last minute. When the Su family found that they were full of people, Su Ye invited a lot of people, all of whom were her classmates and friends in her life. She did not invite anyone from the police station. It seemed that she had already invited them. Life and work should not be mixed up. Moreover, the colleagues at work were not from the same world as them. They were afraid that they would feel uncomfortable and awkward if they invited them. They would not have a good time. Su Ye was sometimes simple-minded, but sometimes she was very attentive. "Ye, why haven't you found a boyfriend yet? Look at our sister Lu, she's married so well." "Yeah, you used to have a lot of pursuers. Why didn't you find one?" "Don't set your sights too high. Sister Lu's husband is so good. He buys whatever she wants. If I have such a husband, I'll be so happy." "Look at what you're saying. It's not that exaggerated." The woman who was called Sister Lu was modest, but her attitude was not. Su Ye's face suddenly turned a little ugly when the topic was suddenly about her boyfriend. After these people flattered her, she said, "I'm still young. I want to play for 2 more years. A woman should find a boyfriend when she's at her most beautiful. After a few years, she'll be old and wrinkled. Which man will like her? You guys talk. I'll go greet the others." Su Ye quickly squeezed out of the group of women. She looked around the room and walked toward Shi Shang. She used to play with her friends and classmates. At this time, she felt that it was better to stay with a little girl. Su Ye leaned over to Shi Shang. "Where's Su Tu?" "Upstairs." Su Ye sighed. "He didn't come to my birthday party before because he thought it was annoying. This time, he gave you face. You're really favored." "How can such a good man be my brother?" "Shi Shang." Su Ye shuddered. "Even if he's not my brother, I can't stand it." Shi Shang saw that her mood was a little strange. He raised his eyebrows and asked, "Why are you unhappy?" "No." Su Ye denied, but she drank up the wine in the glass. Su Ye obviously had something on her mind, but it was a private matter. She didn't say it, so Shi Shang didn't ask more. He chatted with her. "Hey, Ye, which family is this little girl from?" The group of women gathered around again. The fragrance mixed together, and Shi Shang almost couldn't breathe. "My sister-in-law." Su Ye might have drunk a little too much, so she blurted out. "Pfft, Ye, don't joke. This little girl looks like she's still in high school. How can she be Master Su's girlfriend?" "That's right, Ye. Master Su wouldn't fall for such a young girl, right?" Su Ye blocked Shi Shang behind her. "Didn't you hear the rumors in the circle?" The women looked at each other. "Aren't those rumors?" Su Ye sneered. "If they weren't true, who would dare to spread rumors about my brother?" "Stupid girl, why did you bring Luo Shu here? Bring Luo Shu here. She's been led astray by you." Su Ye's mother stood in the distance and howled. Hearing Su Ye's mother's howl, the women's expressions changed. Was Su Ye's mother talking about them in secret? Su Ye proudly pulled Luo Shu to Su Ye's mother. "You laughed at me for not having a boyfriend. This is karma. How dare you covet my brother? It's better to let this little girl be my sister-in-law than to marry these people. Luo Shu. This name sounds a little familiar. The person who had been called Sister Lu whispered softly. No way. I've never heard of it. It's just a little familiar. Maybe I've heard of it somewhere. The Luo family's business wasn't big. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been ruined by Feng Xiaoshuan. Besides, they were involved in the underworld, so it was normal that they didn't know about it. Chapter 1348. Shi Shang was chased upstairs. Mother Su's intention was not to talk to that group of women, lest he learn bad things from them. Shi Shang opened the door of Su Tu's room. He was on the phone. When he saw her coming in, he immediately said, "I'll talk to you later. I have something to do now." He hung up the phone and looked at Shi Shang. "Why did you come up?" "Your mother chased me here." Shi Shang sat on the bed. "You're busy. I'll play games." Su Tu passed the tablet to him. "It'll be done soon." Su Tu dialed the phone again. It took him 10 minutes to finish his work. When Shi Shang was playing games, Su Tu could only watch. He didn't like to play games, but it was also very enjoyable to watch her play games. "Stop playing. It's time to sleep." Su Tu took away the tablet from Shi Shang's hand. He didn't care if she finished the game or not. He turned off the phone directly. Su Tu. Su Tu immediately leaned over and kissed him. "Good girl. It's time to sleep." Shi Shang was not happy. "Just a kiss? I almost passed the game. I must kiss you for 10 minutes. It's free. I don't seem to have received money from you recently." Su Tu was confused. "You're not embarrassed to receive money from your partner. Other people can buy comfort with money. What about me? What did I buy with money? Me?" Shi Shang was speechless. How shameless. Su Tu lowered his head and smiled. "Miss Luo Shu, let me remind you. Other people can't even buy a strand of my hair. Do you mean that I took advantage of you? Isn't that the case?" Shi Shang nodded and pulled him to the bed. "Since I've spent money, young Master Su, please be professional and serve him well." Luo Shu. Shi Shang and Su Tu fooled around on the bed for a long time. When Shi Shang was satisfied, she went to the bathroom to wash up and get ready to sleep. When she came out, she saw Su Tu standing at the door. There seemed to be a woman outside. Before Shi Shang went over, Su Tu slammed the door with a bang. Shi Shang was speechless. "Wait, why don't you let me go over there and act tough?" Su Tu and Shi Shang both fell asleep. Su Ye suddenly knocked on the door and insisted that they go down. The people downstairs had all left. The villa quieted down, leaving only a mess. Su Ye persuaded Shi Shang first, so Su Tu could only stand up with his wife. "Son, don't be a beast," Mother Su said faintly when the two of them came down. "Mom, I will do what I said." Since he said that he would wait for her to become an adult, he would definitely wait for her to become an adult. "Humph, I'm just afraid that you won't be able to control yourself." "Stop, stop, stop. Auntie, don't quarrel today." Su Ye's face was flushed red, and she couldn't even speak clearly. "Today is my birthday. Listen to me." "All right, I'll listen to you." Su Qingsong's mother put the cake on the coffee table and brushed the things on the coffee table to the ground very rudely. "Your uncle is getting off the plane. He'll be here soon. Wait for a while." Su Ye's parents were no longer around. She had been with Su Ye's parents since she was young. She was almost like their biological daughter. Every year, Su Ye's parents would come back to celebrate her birthday. Su Ye held a bottle of wine and shook her head. "Hey, Uncle must have lied to you. He said he'll be here soon, at least in an hour." "Hey, you wicked girl. How dare you talk about your elders? Are you drunk?" Su Ye's mother slapped her on the head. "I'm happy. Drink." Su Ye raised the bottle in her hand. "What are you drinking? Don't drink. Give me the bottle." No. Come on, drink. Luo Shu, drink with me. Let's get drunk. The voices of Su Ye's mother and Su Ye made the big villa lively. Su Tu sat on the sofa with Shi Shang in his arms and watched them play. There was a faint smile on his lips. As Su Ye said, Su Tu's father would arrive more than an hour later. Su Tu's father was very easygoing, but when he got angry, he could compete with Su Ye's mother. Su Tu's mother ordered Su Tuesday, Su Tu, turn off the light. Su Tu let go of Shi Shang and got up to turn off the light. When he came back, Shi Shang's mother was on one side and Su Ye was on the other side. Su Tu could only sit on the other side with Su Tu's father. The birthday cake was lit up and the candlelight dispelled the darkness. Su Tu's mother took the lead to sing the birthday song for Su Ye. Well, make a wish. Su Ye slid down from the sofa to the ground. She put her palms together and murmured something. After a while, she opened her eyes and stared at the candlelight without blowing it. Su Tu's mother wanted to call her. Shi Shang pulled Su Tu's mother and shook his head slightly. Su Ye stared at the candlelight. Suddenly, tears fell down. Then, like a flood breaking through a dam, she couldn't stop crying and burst into tears. The two men opposite her were confused. Why did she cry on her birthday? Su Tu's mother seemed to understand something and signaled them to stop talking. Su Ye cried for a few minutes. Then, she blew out the candlelight and wiped her tears. Let's eat the cake to celebrate my 24th birthday. After eating the cake, Su Ye had already fallen asleep on the sofa. Su Tu's father and mother worked together to bring Su Ye back to her room. What's wrong with Su Ye? Su Tu asked Shi Shang while lying on the bed. She must have fallen out of love. Previously, Su Ye had told her that she had taken a liking to the chief's son. Looking at the situation today, either his confession had been rejected, or the man had been caught cheating on her. The reason why a woman cried was most likely because of a man. Su Tu hugged Shi Shang tightly. Will you leave me? No. I won't either. I'll use my eternal time to accompany you. The system was not very sure how Shi Shang returned to the system space. The last time she was with Feng Ci, there was no record of it in its database. After Shi Shang came back, she had been fiddling with the watch. She dismantled the watch into parts. When she was done, the system heard the crisp sound from the tablet in her hand. Lock on successfully. Identity scanning started. Scan failed. Scan again. Scan failed. Scan again. Sorry, Master, the target can't be locked. It may not be in the galaxy we are in. Shi Shang looked at the parts on the ground silently. What about the other galaxies? Sorry, Master, the other galaxies can't be scanned here. It is recommended that Master leave. Shi Shang did not answer. He reassembled the parts silently. She looked at the system screen. Next plane. My information hasn't been refreshed yet. Name, Shirshing Moral Points, 399000 Health Points, 75 points, 98200 Mission Grade. A mission score, 92 Hidden Mission, completed Hidden Mission Reward, 2000 points Side Mission, failed Side Mission Reward, None Item Column, Queen's Crown, Ghost King's Heart, Dark Knight, Kirin Blood, Phoenix Tail Feather, transmission begins. After the person was sent away, the system reacted. Why did it listen to her? She didn't put it in her eyes. Bah, system, she didn't put the system in her eyes. Asterisk the 39th plane was completed. Su Ye was a name. The title was not tidy. She didn't write her extra words. Ha 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 ha. Hashtag begging for Song Hongmei's votes today. Hashtag vote. Little cuties. I'll rely on you to get on the list. Hashtag. Chapter 1349. Everyone knew that Zhang Tan was a bastard who killed without batting an eyelid. Asterisk in the year 2137, the world was in a state of emergency. Unknown creatures invaded the Earth and destroyed the Earth. Humans called them mutants. In the year 2147, After 10 years of fighting, humans and mutants were in a stalemate. Viruses, famines, and massacres would destroy humanity. Mutants seemed to be afraid of humans, so they did not start a large-scale massacre. After a discussion, humans and mutants decided to compromise. They separated an area as a feeding ground for mutants. Mutants were not allowed to enter the area. The separated area was called the edge of the city. There was only fear, escape, hunger, and killing. Survival or becoming food for mutants. Every month, people outside the edge of the city would throw in a large number of dying, sick, sinful, and useless people to become a new batch of prey. In the year 2247, it had been 100 years since the agreement with mutants was reached. The edge of the city had established its own order and rules. The edge of the city was no longer a home ground for mutants. Humans had formed a team to fight against mutants. Shi Shang received the above information as soon as she arrived. She did not suffer any strange attacks this time, but she was still going to die. F***CK. This was a text that was set as a mutant. The female protagonist was called Yun Duo. She was born at the edge of the city. Her parents were researchers in a research team. After the order of the city was established, the researchers belonged to the middle and upper class. As long as they did not commit any serious crimes, their families would be well protected. Her body, Jiang Tan, was an orphan picked up by Yun Duo's parents. She only remembered that she was called Jiang Tan and nothing else. The Research Institute developed a virus that could make mutants go into temporary shock after they were infected. However, this virus could only be carried by humans. The early and middle experiments had been passed. Now it was the final experiment. The experiment subjects had to be healthy humans who had not been infected with any diseases. People born in the middle and upper class were the first choice. To ensure fairness and prevent chaos, everyone in the family who met the requirements was included in the list. In the end, it was randomly selected. Whoever was selected would be unlucky. Both Jiang Tan and Yun Duo were on the list. In the end, Yun Duo was selected. However, in order to protect her daughter, Jiang Tan was sent to the experiment table. Jiang Tan was not born in the upper middle class. She carried a hidden disease in her body. After the virus entered her body, it reacted with the disease and mutated, giving her the legendary superpower. Jiang Tan thought that this would save her life, so he told the researchers. The result was obvious. In order to study how the supernatural ability came about, the Research Institute locked Jiang Tan up and conducted various experiments on her every day. Jiang Tan was tortured in the lab, and one time, a xenogeniac attacked the lab. That gave Jiang Tan a chance to escape. But she realized that there were many espers in this world, and their powers were strong. They could easily kill ordinary xenogeniacs. Jiang Tan's heart was filled with hatred. It did not matter if they were xenogeniacs or humans, she would kill them all. In the end, Jiang Tan was still caught. The people in the laboratory drew her blood and injected her with a strange drug. She could no longer use her powers. The xenogeniacs attacked the lab again and took Jiang Tan away. The queen of the xenogeniacs dissected her. Although Jiang Tan did not die, she became a monster. The xenogeniacs used her as a weapon against humans. In the end, Jiang Tan died in the hands of the famous heroine. Jiang Tan's last wish, the newspaper. She wanted revenge on all the people who had tortured her. She also wanted to destroy the xenogeniacs. If possible, she wanted to destroy the world. Why could the people on the edge of the city live a peaceful life, while they had to fight the xenogeniacs here? Become food for the xenogeniacs? Jiang Tan hated humans, xenogeniacs, and the world. She was definitely the scariest host that Shi Shang had ever met. But what was with the inexplicable excitement? At the edge of the city, whoever had the strongest fist made the rules. Excited my ass. He should think about how to get out. Shi Shang sighed. Now the plot had progressed to the point where she escaped and was caught. Her superpower was gone, and the xenogeniacs were about to steal her role. For Jiang Tan, being taken away by the xenogeniacs was the time of her death. Later, She only had a trace of consciousness left. Her actions were completely controlled by the xenogeneics. Why did humans and xenogeneics care so much about Jiang Tan? She was the first paranormal. The other paranormal powers appeared after she was studied. But those paranormal powers were so powerful that Jiang Tan didn't know how they did it. The plot didn't mention much about this. It only said that paranormal powers could be awakened within 24 hours by taking a drug provided by the Scientific Research Institution. If the paranormal powers could be awakened within 24 hours, they could become paranormal. Otherwise, they couldn't become paranormal. Dang, dang, dang. Someone knocked on the iron door. A man in uniform put in a few steamed buns. Time to eat. Since the host was caught, she had been locked up here. Her body was very weak, and her superpower was suppressed. She only had one meal a day, and it was just steamed buns. Shi Shang raised his head and looked at the man. His eyes were bloodshot. They were gloomy and terrifying. The man felt uncomfortable under Shi Shang's gaze. He stepped back and scolded, "What are you looking at? Eat if you don't want to die." Shi Shang stood up from where he was sitting. He walked to the door and stretched out his skinny hand. His voice was hoarse. "Come here. What do you want?" Shi Shang's hair was messy. When she moved, it blocked her eyes. She smiled. "I have something good for you." The man knocked on the door with a stick in his hand. "What good thing? What good thing can you have? Stop trying to scare me." The man was obviously smart. Shi Shang sighed. She really wasn't destined to be the female lead. He couldn't lie to anyone, but the female lead would definitely fall for it. Shi Shang took out a talisman from her space and whispered a few words. The talisman floated out of her hand and flew towards the man. The man didn't seem to see the talisman. He just stared at Shi Shang fiercely. "Don't play tricks. Behave yourself. Otherwise, you'll get it." Shi Shang picked his ear. He waved his fingers and the talisman fell on the man's shoulder. The man suddenly convulsed as if he had been electrocuted. "Ah!" The man's painful screams resounded through the room. Shi Shang grabbed the railing and looked at him. The good thing about this world was that it had spiritual energy. And it was quite rich. It was a good place to show off. The people in the control room noticed that something was wrong and hurriedly sent people over. The man kept convulsing and seemed to be electrified. They didn't dare to touch him. They could only watch as the man was electrocuted into a charred corpse. Shi Shang slowly moved back to the bed. Don't be fooled by the name of this world. In fact, the writing style is not serious. Don't jump in this world. If you jump, you won't be able to understand the rest of the story. Chapter 1350. The man died and everyone looked at each other. After a while, someone tried to touch the man. After making sure there was no danger, they started to check what had happened to the man. However, there were only burn marks on the man. The man hadn't touched anything, so how could he have been hit by electricity? The only suspicious point was Shi Shang, who had been talking to the man. Jiang Tan doesn't have any power and her power isn't like this. She can't cause such a wound, right? She was the only one present, so she's the most suspicious. While they were discussing, one of them walked to the iron gate and asked loudly, "Jiang Tan, what did you do?" Shi Shang brushed the hair covering his eyes and asked back, "Did you see what I did in the surveillance?" It was because they didn't see anything in the surveillance that they found it strange. The man had been talking to her when he suddenly started convulsing. It was very strange. Jiang Tan doesn't seem right. The person who asked the question said to the person next to him, "Go inform Dr. Ritchie and take the body away." Ritchie was the person in charge of researching the host. Dr. Ritchie soon arrived. He was wearing a white coat with blood on it. He had probably rushed over from an experiment. Ritchie was a foreigner and didn't speak Chinese, so he asked the people outside. Chinese and English were the main languages on the edge of the city. It was almost a mother tongue. Everyone here could speak Chinese, but Richie didn't speak Chinese. He wasn't from the edge of the city. It was said that he came from outside. As for how he came in, only the higher-ups knew. Anyway, after this guy came, Jiang Tan suffered twice as much as before. This guy was third on the host's hatred ranking. First was Yun Duo. Second was the Mutant King. Yun Duo had been chosen, but she had become a scapegoat. If it wasn't for Yun Duo, she wouldn't have suffered so much. She wouldn't have met the madman Richie and the Mutant King. So there was nothing wrong with Yun Duo being first. She was the female lead, so who would hate if not her? The people outside reported what had just happened. Dr. Richie had a serious expression. She might have activated another power. Take her to the lab. Her room was locked with layers of passwords, and it took a few minutes just to open the door. Someone tried to grab Shishang, but Shishang avoided them in disdain. I know how to walk. Seeing that Shishang was very calm, the man hesitated for a moment and let Shishang leave on her own. However, he was always on guard against her. In the past, Jiang Tan had almost always been knocked out when she went to the laboratory. Now that she was so calm, everyone was on guard. Jiang Tan, don't play any tricks. You can't get out of here. Cooperate well and avoid physical pain. Shishang walked out of the laboratory and looked up at Professor Richie, who was being escorted into the elevator. A sinister smile appeared on his dirty face. If you guys cooperate, I'll let you die faster. Shishang's fingertips moved slightly, and the iron sword suddenly appeared. She raised her arm and swung it backward. The people standing behind her were cut in half like carrots. The iron sword was pulled back from the air and swung towards the person in front of him. The group of people didn't even have time to scream before they all fell to the ground. Shishang held the iron sword and looked at it. The iron sword had obviously changed. Before, it was sharp and cold, but now it was domineering and terrifying. Simple patterns appeared on the sword and wrapped around it like vines. A ray of red light ran through the middle of the sword. It was full of ancient charm. Shishang swung the iron sword slightly. Red flowers bloomed where the tip of the sword touched. The tip of the iron sword drew a circle in the air and a circle of flowers was formed. As the iron sword turned, the circle of flowers expanded instantly and flew in all directions. Wherever it passed, it was like a gust of wind. It was very destructive. The circle of flowers finally reached the wall. After a boom, the surrounding wall collapsed and light came in from the outside. The ceiling was falling down. The walls on this floor were all gone. Shishang quickly jumped out from the back and stepped on the iron sword to fly into the air. A 5-story building was suddenly pulled down from the waist. The top 2 floors shook and finally fell down. Flowing light flower feather. Shishang shook his head. It couldn't even form the prototype of the move. It was still far away. Buzz. The energy was too low. It could only recover to this extent. Host, you said it was still far away? Then what did you mean by not far away? Shishang raised his chin slightly and said arrogantly, do you know how destructive its unique move is? What? It can easily destroy a planet. Host, are you sure you're not bluffing? Shishang snorted. The scene just now couldn't even be considered the prototype of the flowing light flower feather. I don't want to talk to the host. Goodbye. Smoke and dust rose from below. The screams of the crowd pierced through the smoke and dust and went straight to the sky. Shishang looked up at the sky. There was a huge building in the sky that completely covered this part of the sky. The mutants were living on this building. This base was built by spaceships. At first, it wasn't this big. Later, the mutants built on it. After 100 years, it covered the entire edge of the city. This base was as big as the edge of the city. Shishang touched his chin and looked at the small reconnaissance aircraft floating around the base. This technology was still far away from her era. If her era was called the peak of the interstellar era, this was just the first step into the interstellar era. Shishang looked down at the noisy crowd below. Dr. Richie must be buried inside. Let's blow it up first. Bang! 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 The energy ball exploded and the entire building was blown up. With such a big commotion, the reconnaissance aircraft above had already arrived. Shi Shang knew her condition. Her body had a problem. If she really provoked the hornet's nest, her body might not be able to handle it. Therefore, the most important thing now was not to poke the hornet's nest, but to deal with her body first. Shi Shang found an alley with fewer people and landed. The reconnaissance aircraft flew over her head and raised the talisman on her body. Shi Shang immediately reached out and pressed it down. After the reconnaissance aircraft passed by, Shi Shang removed the talisman. She walked along the wall and arrived at the building where the explosion had occurred. At this time, only a big hole was left in the building. Not to mention the building, there wasn't even any trace of the building. It must be those bastards in the sky who did it. God damn them. What do they want? Do they want to start a war with us? What if they really shoot down the building? In this group of people's impression, only the mutants had the ability to blow up a building. Therefore, if Shi Shang blew up the building, the humans would definitely blame the mutants. The mutants didn't want to take the blame. Chapter 1351. Shi Shang learned from their discussion that the building was just an ordinary building from the outside. They had no idea what was going on inside. In Jiang Tan's memory, the lab she used to work in was underground. After the Xenogeneics attacked, she ran out, and the lab was probably destroyed. These people were probably just looking for a temporary place. If they planned to rebuild the lab underground, Shi Shang looked at the big hole. It was at least 10 meters deep. Even if they dug even deeper, the explosion above would still cause them to collapse. The city gods are here. Someone shouted in the crowd. There was a commotion in the crowd. Most of the people started to step back, as if they were afraid of those people. In the crowd, a car stopped. A few men and women in uniforms got out of the car. The city guards were formed after the order at the edge of the city was established. They said they were there to protect the people, but in fact, they were there to pick out the useless or disabled people and send them to the Xenogeneics feeding ground. Yes, to prevent the Xenogeneics from killing people, the city guards would feed the Xenogeneics every month. Just like the people at the edge of the city, they fed the Xenogeneics as food. Once the Xenogeneics appeared among the humans, the city guards would hunt them down. Anyway, to sum it up, the city guards were not good people. Normal citizens were quite afraid of these people. Whether they lived or died was in the hands of these people. The edge of the city was a large hunting ground. The Xenogeneics were the hunters, and the humans were the prey. After a long time, some of the prey did not want to be the prey anymore. They started to think about how they could not be the prey. So, the prey evolved into hounds, and the hounds started to build their own circles. The weakest among the humans became the prey of the hunters and hounds. The strong were respected, and the weak were inferior. The fittest lived, and the fallen died. In this world, the ones who made the rules were the strong. The city guards were the fittest, and the people who depended on the strong were the weak. The people who were fed to the Xenogeneics were the fallen. They had lost their faith and hope to live. They could only wait for death. Not everyone could turn from a fallen one into a protagonist or a villain. Most people's thoughts went with the flow. If one person was desperate, many others would be desperate, and everyone would fall into the abyss of despair. Even if someone was willing to help them, they wouldn't believe it. The city guards investigated the scene, but they couldn't figure out what was going on, so they reported it to their superiors. Soon, someone cleared the area, and no one was allowed to get close. There was a secret hidden in that building. Of course, these people wouldn't let ordinary prey know about it. Shi Shang left along the street. When the original owner was sent to the laboratory, she was 12 years old. Now, 5 years had passed, but her impression of the city had not changed much. It was still so dilapidated and old. Many of these buildings were built hundreds of years ago. It was a miracle that they hadn't collapsed. There was a shortage of resources at the edge of the city. All the places that could grow food had been planted with food. Bang! "You little bastard, stop right there." A dark-skinned child darted out of the door beside him and ran past Sher Shang like a loach. A man ran out of the door and hit the back of the child's head with a stone. The child fell to the ground. Blood flowed out from the back of his head, covering the ground in blood. The man walked to the child and dragged him through the door. "How dare you run? If you don't go, do you want me and your mother to go? We gave birth to you to go. If you dare run again, we'll break your legs." The child opened his eyes and looked at Sher Shang in despair. Sher Shang lowered his eyes and continued walking. People who could give birth here had a higher chance of survival because they could give birth to children. The edge of the city was divided into 12 districts. Each district was responsible for feeding people for 1 month. No one would be caught and fed for the other 11 months. 1 year was enough to give birth to a child. When the child was around 10 years old, he could be fed as food. Many of the women here died in an endless cycle of pregnancy, childbirth, and so on. The population at the edge of the city was not small. The old people, the sick, and the sinners from all over the world were sent here. With generations of reproduction, the population here was at least 60 to 80 million, or even more. It was not that many people. Think about the billions of people outside over the past 100 years. It was not that many people. If a district accepted a large number of people from the outside world, the original resident quota could be replaced by people from the outside world. At first, it was a fair number. Later, naturally, there was a situation where the border was bribed to distribute the population. People from the outside world were not evenly distributed to each district. Therefore, there were obvious differences between the districts. The district she was in now was the 7th district. The person in charge was in this district, so it was considered relatively peaceful. Only a small number of people were born every year. It was also very common for people to give birth to children to replace them. It did not matter if the child was an adult or a child. As long as the child could breathe, it was fine. Sher Shang found a place to change out of his dirty clothes. However, there was no water, so he could only continue with his messy hair. There was almost no night at the edge of the city. Even if it was dark, the base light above could illuminate the edge of the city as if it was daytime. The people here lived a boring life. They either worked according to the district or gave birth to children at home. However, people always found joy in pain. There was an underground street in the 7th district. The 7th district was a city. This underground street used to be an underground shopping street. Among the first group of people who came in, a group of people occupied this street. At first, it was to avoid being hunted by mutants. Later, it was gradually developed into a black market. There was a casino, a bar, and even a KTV. However, the equipment was old. When one shouted, the people next to them could hear it. There were also all kinds of strange buzzing sounds. At this time, in a dark room, a few men were kneeling or lying on the ground. In front of them sat a girl. The girl's face was slightly pale. Her hair was tied into a ponytail. She was wearing a simple casual outfit. She sat with her legs crossed like a loafer. This girl suddenly attacked them, but they could not do anything to her. "What do you want, my lady?" asked a bald man carefully. The girl shook her legs. "You don't mind if I stay here for a while, right?" The men were stunned. The bald man reacted the fastest. "You stay. You can stay as long as you want." They could not beat her. What could they do if they did not let her stay? Chapter 1352. The bald man arranged a soundproof room for Sher Shang and invited him in respectfully. This was how the world worked. Whoever had a harder fist would be the boss. "Brother Lu, what's the background of this woman?" Underling saw Lu Shu coming out of the room and immediately asked. Lu Shu touched his bald head and said with a face full of hostility, "How would I know?" A woman appeared out of nowhere to fight with them for territory. "Brother Lu, that woman is quite pretty." Underling B's face was full of wretchedness. He had completely forgotten that he was beaten to the point where he couldn't stand up. What's the use of being pretty? Can you eat it? Lu Shu slapped Underling B's body. Go to the city guards and ask around. This woman is so powerful. Her background is definitely not simple. She might be a wanted criminal. Creak. The door was suddenly pulled open. Everyone immediately turned around to look. A pale face peeked out from the door, and a pair of black eyes stared at them. Lu Shu's scalp went numb, and his bald head felt cold. The girl on the other side opened her mouth and said, "Bring me some water." Lu Shu heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that she didn't hear it. Luckily, the soundproofing of the room was good. If you don't want this place to be razed to the ground like a few days ago, then don't have any bad ideas. The pale face disappeared from the door, and the door was closed. Underling A looked at Lu Shu with a dumbfounded face. Brother Lu, what does she mean? There was only one place that was razed to the ground a few days ago. This couldn't have been done by her, right? She can't be a mutant, right? Underling B's body trembled. I heard that a mutant was found in the 10th district. It can peel off our skin and put it on their bodies. It's so disgusting. I heard about that too, but I heard that their intelligence isn't high. Although they can disguise as us, once they talk to people, they will be exposed. The one inside. How does she look like someone with low intelligence? Underling A retorted. Lu Shu habitually touched his head. Enough, go and get some water. Then, Brother Lu, are we still going to the city guards? Underling B asked carefully. Go where? Are you looking for death? Lu Shu slapped little Brother B's head and said resentfully, before we figure out her background, don't act rashly. Little Brother B felt wronged. Didn't you say that you wanted to go? Why was it his fault again? Shi Sheng lived in this underground area. Every day, Lu Shu would find an excuse to look for him. He found that Shi Sheng was just living here and didn't do anything strange. Other than being violent when he came, he didn't show any signs of violence. Lu Shu was slightly relieved. Brother Lu, it's not good. The city guards said that they want to search our underground city. Underling A ran in from outside and shouted. Lu Shu was shocked. What happened? Why would he want to search the underground city for no reason? I don't know. Ever since that incident, District 7 has been under martial law. I heard that the city guards have been arresting people everywhere. The surface has already been searched, and now it's the underground. Underling A gestured behind Lu Shu. Could it be? They're here to look for her? Lu Shu rolled his eyes and ordered, let them search the front first. Oh, okay. Underling A thought about it and said, Brother Lu, why don't we take this opportunity to hand her over to the city guards? Who cares about her background? Let the city guards have a headache. Why are you talking nonsense? Go. Was this woman so easy to deal with? If she was really the culprit behind the explosion of a building, they would be buried together with her before they could hand her over to the city guards. Underling A left in confusion. Lu Shu knocked on the door and entered. There was only one lamp in the room, and it was the kind that was especially dim. That girl was sitting under the lamp, playing with an iron sword. The ancient patterns on the iron sword and the strange red light made Lu Shu's heart beat faster. The iron sword seemed to be covered with a layer of pressure that made people not dare to look at it directly. He quickly looked away. Miss Jiang, the city guards are coming to search. Do you want to avoid them? Shi Sheng slammed the iron sword on the table beside him and asked casually, Are you afraid of them? Lu Shu. Why would he be afraid of them? Aren't you a suspected fugitive here? If the city guards saw you, you would be in trouble. Miss Jiang, a wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. Why don't you avoid them first? Lu Shu tried to make his words sound better. Shi Sheng retorted seriously, I'm not a wise man. Lu Shu. Wasn't a wise man supposed to fight when the odds were against him? Lu Shu talked for a long time, but the girl had no intention of leaving. He gritted his teeth and left the room. It was daytime, and the underground city was not open for business yet. The entire corridor was deserted, and there were only city guards searching the rooms one by one. Lu Shu broke out in a cold sweat. It was over. Those people had photos in their hands. Although he did not see who was in the photos, he had a feeling that these people were looking for the girl in the room. If the city guards found out that he was harboring a fugitive, he would definitely be implicated. Lu Shu did not have any big ambitions. He just wanted to die of old age peacefully. The underground city that his father left him could also allow him to die of old age. However, with the sudden appearance of a fugitive, his wish of dying of old age would not come true. "Hey, isn't this Brother Lu?" The captain of the city guards waved at Lu Shu. "Brother Lu, don't mind them. This is an order from the higher-ups. It's a routine search." Brother Lu took a deep breath and greeted them skillfully. "Who are you looking for?" "Here, it's her. Have you seen her before?" The captain passed the photo to Lu Shu. The girl in the photo was wearing pure white clothes. Her face was pale, and she looked no different from when he first met Shishang. Lu Shu's back was full of cold snorts. His hand that was holding the photo trembled uncontrollably. "Brother Lu, what's wrong?" The captain waved his hand in front of Lu Shu and asked doubtfully, "Have you seen her before?" Lu Shu came back to his senses and quickly returned the photo. He wiped his sweaty hands on his pants. "No, what did she do?" The captain was familiar with Lu Shu. He knew that he was a coward who only wanted to die of old age. He instinctively felt that he would not harbor a fugitive, so he did not think much of it. "I don't know. The higher-ups asked her to arrest him. You know that we arrest whoever the higher-ups ask us to." The captain waved his hand at the people behind him. "It's the last few rooms. Everyone, hurry up and search. Don't delay Brother Lu's business." "There's no hurry. There's no business during the day. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Why don't I treat you to a drink?" Lu Shu forced a smile. "It's okay, Brother Lu. There are still a few places to search. We'll drink next time if we have the chance." The captain patted Lu Shu's shoulder. As he walked towards Shishang's room, he said, "The wine last time tasted good. It's a pity that there's too little." The captain's hand grabbed the door handle and turned it, creak. Chapter 1353. Lu Shu did not dare to continue watching. He turned his head to look at the group of men behind him and signaled them to run. Not only did the men not run, but they also walked towards Lu Shu and picked up weapons from the surroundings. Bang! A figure landed in front of Lu Shu. Lu Shu's eyes widened as he looked at the leader whose face was covered in blood. His eyes moved and he made a gurgling sound as he grabbed Lu Shu's trousers. "Leader!" The other members of the city guards heard the commotion and turned to see their leader lying beside Lu Shu's feet with blood all over his face. They were all furious. "Brother Lu!" The men ran towards Lu Shu. A stick flew towards him from the front. Lu Shu reached out and grabbed it. He quickly pulled his leg out and hit the nearest member of the city guards. A member of the city guards was dead, and he was even the leader. Lu Shu could not defend himself. He knew how ruthless the city guards were. If he did not retaliate, he would be the one to die. The city guards were specially trained. Lu Shu and his group only knew a little bit of martial arts. They could do whatever they wanted among ordinary people, but they would be in trouble if they met these people. Lu Shu was kicked to the ground. "Lu Shu, what did our leader do to you? You actually killed him. I want to avenge him." Lu Shu looked at the metal stick that was coming towards him. It was over. He was going to die here today. Just as he was in despair, a red light flashed in his eyes. The person in front of him suddenly fell towards him as if all his strength had been sucked out. He was pressed down on his body. The surroundings suddenly became quiet. There were no sounds of fighting or talking. It was a silence that had never been there before. Tap, tap, tap. The footsteps stopped in front of him. Lu Shu turned his head with difficulty. Before he could see clearly, the body that was pressing on him was suddenly lifted and thrown to the side. Only then did Lu Shu start to pant. He looked up from the leg beside him. The young girl was calmly looking at him with a sword in her hand. Behind her, the members of the city guards were lying on the ground. Lu Shu's limbs went limp. Looking at the bodies beside him, he sat up in disgust. He habitually touched his bald head and smiled bitterly. "Miss Jiang, you've caused me so much trouble. Killing a member of the first team of city guards was a big problem." Shi Shang squatted down and looked at Lu Shu with a slight smile. "Do you want to be at the mercy of others, or do you want to be the one who makes the rules? Who wants to be slaughtered by others?" Lu Shu sighed. "But this society is already like this. We can only rot here for the rest of our lives. Answer my question." Lu Shu looked at Shi Shang. The smile on Shi Shang's face made Lu Shu a little scared. Her smile was so creepy. "Of course, I'm the one who sets the rules. Who didn't have a dream?" When he was young, he also wanted to be a hero and save the world from disaster. But later, reality told him that it was all just a daydream. "Good luck." "Lu Shu, are you crazy?" He thought she was going to say something. She was going to lead him to be the one to set the rules. Who would have thought that she would say something like that? It was completely different from what he had imagined. "Flip the table." Shi Shang stood up and stabbed his iron sword into the ground. "Do you need me to teach you how to deal with these people without being discovered? After all, she was the one who killed them. It was only right for her to dispose of the bodies." Lu Shu immediately stood up from the ground. "What is it? Let your men wear their clothes and go out. Let people see that the city guards have left the underground city. Then, find a place where no one is around and take off their clothes. Leave without anyone noticing." The only places in District 7 that had surveillance cameras were the few main streets. The rest of the alleys were completely unmonitored. Coincidentally, there was no surveillance at the entrance of the underground city. As long as people outside saw that they had left safely, it would be fine. Lu Shu's mind turned. She knew that this method would work. But there was still a problem. Then the bodies. Shi Shang looked at the bodies. This was indeed a little troublesome. After all, there was no night at the edge of the city. Most people had the same work and rest time, but there were a few people who did not. "I'll take care of it. You guys do what you need to do." Lu Shu wanted to ask how to deal with the bodies, but when she saw Shi Shang's expression, she shut her mouth and did not dare to ask. She called her men back and replaced them with the city guards. Shi Shang waited for them to leave before putting the corpses into a spatial ring and throwing them away. The best place to throw the bodies was, of course, the feeding ground. The feeding ground was an empty space surrounded by a high wall. People could climb up to the wall. There was no one guarding the place. No one would come here for no reason. If they got eaten by the xenogenics, they deserved it. Shi Shang climbed up the wall and was disgusted by the scene behind it. The feeding ground was at least the size of 2 football fields. It was densely packed with bodies. Some of them were already rotten, while others were still fresh. It was extremely bloody, and there was an indescribable stench in the air. On top of the bodies, there were dozens of strange-looking xenogenics feasting. Shi Shang appeared on the high wall. The xenogenics that were close to him immediately looked over. Its head was round and seemed to be covered by a layer of mucus. There was no way to see its eyes, and it was hard to tell which was front and which was back. But the way it twisted and looked up proved that it was looking at him. The xenogenic's mouth was on its chest. Its 2 forelimbs were like plucked feathers, and it was stuffing the bodies into its mouth. Dead food didn't taste as good as fresh food. The xenogenic immediately threw the bodies away and ran toward Shi Shang with a low growl. Its movement startled the other xenogenics that were feasting. They all ran toward Shi Shang. It was a spectacular scene. Shi Shang was speechless. "Cat biscuits. You don't eat the ones that can't run." Why do you have to eat the ones that can run? One of the xenogeneics could fly. The xenogeneics in front of it was still running. It flew up and pounced on Shi Shang. Shi Shang wondered how the xenogeneics that were feeding the xenogeneics didn't attack them. As this thought flashed through his mind, the xenogeneics were already in front of him. Oh, F***CK. Don't come over. Where's I's sword? When Shi Shang finished dealing with the disgusting xenogeneics, all the bodies in the feeding ground disappeared, including the xenogeneics. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The reconnaissance aircraft in the sky noticed the anomaly. They lined up and flew toward the feeding ground. Shi Shang shot them down one by one. The reconnaissance aircraft didn't have the ability to attack. They were only used for surveillance. It was too easy for Shi Shang to shoot them down. The reconnaissance aircraft fell to the ground like dumplings, smashing parts all over the ground. If other people were here, they would be scared to death. Although the reconnaissance aircraft couldn't attack, they were fast. They couldn't take one down even if they tried their best. It was as easy as shooting a bird for her. When all the reconnaissance aircraft in the area were gone, Shi Shang slowly went down the high wall. The food in Division 7 was gone. Dozens of xenogeneics also disappeared mysteriously. They lost so many reconnaissance aircraft. The xenogeneics army was not happy. That night, Division 7 was surrounded by xenogeneics. Some xenogeneics even attacked humans. Division 7 was in chaos. Asterisk 2017. 04. 20 Book Review Section Cherub Steamed Bun Hashtag asking for soapword flavored votes today Hashtag it's Friday again, asking for votes. Chapter 1354. Lu Shu and Shi Shang were on the same boat now, so it seemed like Shi Shang was the boss. Of course, that was what Lu Shu thought. Shi Shang had never admitted it. Now that Division 7 was in chaos, Lu Shu didn't dare to open up the dungeon. He gathered with his underlings to discuss. I think the mutants are behind this. They want to use this opportunity to attack us. If we had the ability to take down their reconnaissance aircraft, we would have kicked them out of the Milky Way long ago. What if a fight really breaks out? The mutants were so powerful. How could they win? Lu Shu touched his bald head and glanced at Shi Shang. She seemed to be listening to their conversation, but at the same time, she seemed to be daydreaming. Lu Shu couldn't understand this young lady. She seemed to be shrouded in a thick fog. After you peeled away the first layer, there were countless more layers. Brother Lu, what do you think we should do now? Lu Shu came back to his senses and cleared his throat. At least the city guards don't have time to trouble us now. Everyone, the mutants' attack was much scarier than the city guards' attack, Brother Lu. You shouldn't be comforting yourself like this. Alright, whatever will come will come. There's a tall guy in front of us. If anyone dies, they'll die first. Lu Shu made the final decision. Go back and rest. The underlings looked at each other for a moment and went back to their rooms. Lu Shu glanced at Shi Shang and hesitantly moved his chair over. Miss Jiang, where did you throw the bodies? When they came back, she was already there, but the bodies were gone. Shi Shang didn't look up. His tone was casual and calm. I threw them into the feeding ground. Lu Shu's eyes widened. Thrown into the feeding ground? Was it the feeding ground he was thinking of? Lu Shu swallowed hard. Miss Jiang, you went to the feeding ground alone? Shi Shang rolled his eyes. I can't summon the dragon god. If I didn't go by myself, who else could I go with? Lu Shu's heart was beating wildly. His palms were sweaty. The mutants, the disappearance of the mutants, don't tell me it has something to do with you? Shi Shang admitted frankly, I did it. Lu Shu's body slid from the chair to the ground. His face was full of shock. She really did it. How capable was she? Shi Shang raised his head and rubbed his chin with his fingertips. Let me ask you, won't they be attacked when they're feeding us? Lu Shu had yet to recover from his shock when Shi Shang kicked him. He looked at Shi Shang in confusion. What? Shi Shang was speechless and repeated, I'm asking, won't they be attacked when they throw food? Lu Shu got up from the ground. Her legs were weak, and she barely managed to stand. There is a fixed feeding time. That time Xenogeneic won't appear in the feeding field. Lu Shu paused and asked tentatively, so, you attacked because you were attacked? Do you think I have nothing better to do? Lu Shu. He didn't say anything. Why is this little girl always so sarcastic? You'll lose friends like this. Alright, since he was so awesome, why would he need any friends? Will they start a fight? Shi Shang asked Lu Shu again. Lu Shu quickly thought about it. It shouldn't be a fight. District 7 is considered the central area of the city. The people who live here are people of high status and power. They are either rich or noble. Those people at the top will definitely. Lu Shu suddenly paused. His expression changed. They will use ordinary people to compensate for the Xenogeneic. Shi Shang finished his sentence. It was only May. If District 7's population was used to compensate for the Xenogeneic, there would not be enough in the 7th month. If there wasn't enough, they would draw from every household. Of course, every household referred to ordinary people like them. Those who were related to the higher-ups wouldn't be drawn. Because they had power, their lives were in their hands. Lu Shu fell back into the chair. He wasn't worried about himself. At least he had the ability to protect himself. But those people outside, are you softening your heart? A girl's light voice rang in his ears. He couldn't tell if it was sarcasm or disdain. Anyway, it sounded malicious. Every word was like a sharp thorn that pierced deeply into his heart. Shi Shang pursed his lips and said calmly, You can't even live well. What right do you have to soften your heart? You should live a decent life first. Lu Shu suddenly shouted, I'm living a good life. After shouting, Lu Shu realized that he had lost his composure. He muttered, I'm living a good life. Is that so? Shi Shang ignored his sudden outburst. If you really think you're living a good life in this dark underground city, I have nothing to say. Shi Shang stood up and knocked on the chair with his fingertips. If you're just dreaming but don't take a step forward, then you're just daydreaming. Lu Shu's emotions were a bit out of control. He stared at Shi Shang like a disgruntled youth. This is how the world works. I'm not you. I'm not as strong as you. I've already done my best to survive. Dreams and whatnot were just dreams when he was young. Only when he grew up did he realize that reality was life. She was powerful and could blow up a building. Killing people was a piece of cake for her. She didn't even care about mutants. But he was different. He was just an ordinary person. What could he do? Shi Shang shrugged. He didn't say anything else and went back to his room. Lu Shu stared at the door for a long time. He suddenly pounced on the door and knocked. Tell me, how can I live a better life? He wanted to become stronger. He didn't want to rot here. The voice from inside the room penetrated the door. It sounded a little dull, but it was still malicious. I can't help you. If you want to live a better life, you have to rely on yourself. Lu Shu stopped knocking on the door, and the bulging veins on his face slowly receded. She would always make you feel hot, and then pour a basin of cold water on you, drenching your hot blood with cold water. Anyone would think that this woman was despicable and deserved a beating. But she was powerful. She deserved it. When Lu Shu woke up the next day, he found that Shi Shang had already left. There were a few gold bars on the table. There was a note under the gold bars. Room fee. Keep the change. There was no currency at the edge of the city. It had already returned to the most primitive barter. But gold bars were useful. Gold bars could not only be used to bribe the higher-ups to get a good position, but they could also be used to bribe the people guarding the border. Although they couldn't leave, they could get a lot of things from them. Even weapons could be used. The people who established the order found a gold mine. They brought people to excavate it and traded weapons with the people guarding the border. That was how the current political system was formed. Lu Shu held the gold bars and trembled slightly. The cold gold bars were burning hot. Chapter 1355. Host, why are you helping him? The system was puzzled. Since when was she so kind? Because I like it, Shishang replied as he walked forward. You can do anything when you're in a good mood, but you can't do anything when you're in a bad mood. Is there a problem? No problem. However, the system didn't believe it. The host's target of choice were usually cute girls who were her die-hard fans. Forget it. It shouldn't meddle in the host's business. Where are you going now? Chunibu Shang looked up at the spaceships floating in the 7th district. To save the world. Hee, you should be thanking the heavens if you don't destroy the world. Save the world. Save yourself first. Shishang touched his chin. Guzi, I think you're the one who needs saving. No. It didn't need saving. It just wanted to be a beautiful system. The system didn't want to be scolded by Shishang, so it quickly went offline. Shishang was taken to the center of the 7th district. Along the way, they met many city guards. These guards had already started arresting people. It was obvious that the authorities had negotiated with the mutants. The number of mutants had probably exceeded the authorities' expectations. Hence, they started arresting people among the residents. Help, no, I don't want to. I don't want to die. Help. Let me go, I'm not going. Why are you arresting me? You can't find the murderer, so why should we clean up your mess? It's all your fault. I'm not going. Let us go. You animals, you'll get your retribution. Shishang's ears were filled with such voices. They were full of anger and despair. She walked through these people. Perhaps they saw that she was dressed neatly and had an extraordinary aura. She didn't look like an ordinary person, so the city guards didn't go up to her. Hey, you guys, take 2 people to Professor Richie. Shishang turned to look at the person who shouted. He was sitting in a car. Anyone who could sit in a car was definitely not an ordinary person. But that wasn't the point. The point was, did he just say Professor Richie? That idiot didn't die? That didn't make sense. He didn't die from the explosion. Was this Richie immortal? Asterisk flips table asterisk now, even cannon fodder was so difficult to deal with. Did they want to ascend to heaven? The car drove away quickly. Shishang followed the car and waited for them to drive to a remote place before he boarded the car and hijacked it. There were 2 people in the car. Other than the man, there was also a driver. Jiang Tan. The man's eyes widened. What do you want? Shishang threw the driver to the back and sat in the driver's seat. He tilted his head and looked at the man who was tied up. Do you know me? That's even easier. Jiang Tan, you can't run away. Their people were looking for her everywhere. She actually dared to appear like this. She was really looking for death. Shishang sneered. You don't have to worry about that. Anyway, you can't run away now. The man choked. Shishang started the car and drove to a more remote place. After pasting talismans around the car, he pulled the man out of the car. I'll ask you a few questions. Answer them obediently, and I'll let you die a quick death. The man sneered. I'll die whether I answer or not. Why should I answer? Shishang's lips curled into a smile filled with malice. Because I'll make you wish you were dead. Her voice was gloomy, like a devil's voice from hell. It made people shiver from the bottom of their hearts. You. Shishang took out the iron sword and pointed it at the man's chest. Do you believe that you won't die in the end even if I stab you into a sieve? Humph, kill me if you can. I won't say anything. The man's face was unyielding. Okay, I'll fulfill your wish. This was not me who wanted to kill him. This was his own request. How could I refuse such a request? The man was stunned, but before he could say anything, his chest was pierced by the iron sword. The quaint pattern on the sword seemed to be absorbing his blood. Together with the red line in the middle, it looked even more demonic. "You're the only one who knows." Shi Shang pulled out the iron sword with a cold face. Shi Shang pulled the driver out of the back seat and woke him up. The driver saw the man lying on the ground with his eyes wide open. He was obviously dead. You. What do you want?" The driver trembled as he looked at Shi Shang. "I'll ask you a few questions. Don't be nervous." The driver was speechless. "If you don't carry such a frightening sword, then your words won't be convincing at all, okay?" The words, "I'll kill you later," were written all over her face. Shi Shang squatted down. "Richie isn't dead?" The driver was obviously not as brave as Shi Shang. When Shi Shang stabbed the iron sword in front of him, he was so scared that he wet his pants and spilled everything he knew. Richie was indeed not dead. As for how he survived, the driver had no idea. "Where is he now?" The driver held his head and trembled. In the laboratory at 258 13th Street. "Dr. Richie, there's something wrong with subject number 53. A researcher in a white coat ran in hurriedly. Richie put down the test tube in his hand. "What happened?" "I don't know. He suddenly went crazy." The researcher shook his head. "The data is fluctuating abnormally." Richie took the white coat and put it on as he walked out. "Was there anything unusual before he went crazy?" "No, everything is normal." The subject suddenly went crazy. Richie sped up and arrived at the room where subject number 53 was. There was a man inside who was punching and kicking at the transparent glass. The veins on his forehead were bulging, his eyes were red, and transparent liquid was flowing out of his mouth. He was growling strangely like a man-eating monster. Richie looked at the data beside him. All the numbers were fluctuating irregularly. "Dr. Richie, test subject number 29 is going crazy too." Dr. Richie was in disbelief. "What? How was this possible?" Dr. Richie ran to test subject number 29. He was showing the same symptoms as subject number 53. "How could this be?" "Dr. Richie, test subject number 105 is going crazy too." Test subject number 89. Test subject number 13. All the test subjects in the laboratory began to go crazy. The place where the test subjects were locked up was filled with banging sounds. It was terrifying. "Dr. Richie, all the test subjects are going crazy. They can't be suppressed." "Dr. Richie, the arcana value in their bodies is very abnormal. It's constantly rising. If this goes on, they won't be able to withstand it and self-destruct." "Dr. Richie," just as everyone surrounded Dr. Richie and didn't know what to do, the light in the laboratory suddenly dimmed, and red light swept over from all directions. "Alert, unknown life form invasion. Alert, unknown life form invasion." Unknown life form? Mutants. This was the thought that flashed through everyone's mind. They had been attacked by mutants once, and that attack almost let the most important test subject escape. Chapter 1356. The laboratory was in chaos, but they waited for a long time, but no disgusting mutant appeared. Only a little girl appeared. The little girl walked around the corner with a sword in her hand. Her face was normal, and she didn't look pale anymore. She had delicate features and a faint smile on her face. Her hair was casually tied into a ponytail and swayed behind her as she walked. She looked very energetic, like an ordinary little girl, but it was very strange to see such a person at the edge of the city. The people who lived here were only desperate and obedient. The iron sword dragged on the ground and made an ear-piercing sound. The rioting experimental subjects suddenly quieted down and looked at her. Greed flowed in their eyes, but they were very afraid and didn't dare to go forward. The entire laboratory was eerily quiet. Richie didn't expect that the person he was trying to catch would appear in front of him, but he didn't feel happy at all. The memory of what happened last time was still fresh in his mind. "Dr. Richie, you're quite lucky." Shi Shang broke the silence and looked at Dr. Ritchie with a smile. I just don't know if you'll be so lucky this time. Ritchie's scalp went numb when he thought of what happened last time. He dreamed of that scene every night. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. Why aren't you saying anything? Are you unhappy to see me? Ritchie was speechless. Happy my ass. When he couldn't catch her, he thought of ways to catch her. Now that she was standing here, he just wanted her to get out of his sight. If you don't say your last words, I'll make my move. Wait. Ritchie shouted. His eyes darted around and he quickly said, Jiang Tan, you can't use your superpower, right? Don't you want to know what's going on? I don't want to. That thing was useless to her. There was spiritual energy here, so she could directly cultivate her spiritual power. Why would she need a superpower? Ritchie choked and changed his words. Aren't you worried about your body? I'm not worried. It's not my body. Why should I worry? Ritchie was speechless. There was no way to talk about this anymore. All right, come and die. Shi Shang waved his iron sword. Who's first? The group of researchers hiding behind Ritchie retreated, but the experimental subjects were behind them. They approached the glass, and the experimental subjects pounced on the glass and growled at them. The crowd screamed and retreated. Someone was frantically pressing the alarm. Shi Shang rubbed his ears. Stop pressing the button. Those people outside have already formed a group to travel to hell. Do you guys want to form a group too? As soon as he finished speaking, the iron sword swung towards them. They screamed and ran deeper into the laboratory. Ritchie wanted to take advantage of the chaos to escape. However, Shi Shang was here to kill Ritchie. How could he let him escape? Shi Shang stood in front of Ritchie and smiled, but his eyes were cold. Dr. Ritchie, why are you running? Didn't you want to catch me? Shi Shang kicked Ritchie, and Ritchie crashed into the glass room behind him. The experimentals inside scratched at the glass as if they wanted to skin Ritchie alive. Shi Shang walked over slowly. The experimental mannequin growled a few times and shrank into a corner. Ritchie looked at the experimental's behavior and suddenly seemed to have thought of something. He got up from the ground and moved to the side with the help of the glass. Jiang Tan, what I did to you was ordered by my superiors. If you want revenge, you shouldn't look for me. I can't help it. You're on the list. Shi Shang shrugged. You're third on the list. Most importantly, you were the first to appear. Who would you look for? What list? Ritchie looked puzzled. The death list. Ritchie. Dr. Ritchie seemed to have given up struggling. Before you die, can you answer me a question? The corner of Shi Shang's lips lifted. No. She quickly sent the iron sword into Ritchie's body and kicked him away from the glass. You want to release them? Don't worry. I'll release them for you later. Damn it. Do you think I am blind? Do you think I am as easy to fool as the protagonist? Idiot. Ritchie's pupils dilated. His body kept twitching. His gaze fell on the experimental mannequin in the glass room. He couldn't accept it. Shi Shang made sure that Ritchie was dead before she walked towards the office area of the laboratory. This row of glass rooms was full of people locked up in them. Shi Shang looked straight ahead. She didn't know where those researchers had run off to, but the entire office was a mess. She looked at the label and found Ritchie's office. Shi Shang found a lot of information in Ritchie's office. They were all experimental data related to supernatural abilities. However, this information was only conclusive. She couldn't figure out how these people got their supernatural abilities. She couldn't deduce how it was related to her. Shi Shang turned the office upside down. Finally, she found a safe on the wall. Shi Shang raised his sword and hacked at it. There was a stack of information and a laptop in the safe. The information recorded was about the original owner of the body. From when she entered the laboratory to when she was discovered to be different from others, it was all recorded in detail. However, this was only a record of her experimental data. There was no explanation as to how she was different. Shi Shang looked at the laptop. There was only an intranet at the edge of the city. It was built by the researchers themselves. Shishang, you were one step too late. Serves you right. Serves you right. When Shishang turned on the laptop, a little person jumped out. She was holding a cheerleading prop and jumping on the screen. Then, there was the repeated, serves you right. F***CK. Mubai, that idiot, wasn't here before. Why did he suddenly appear? Shishang took out the laptop. Mubai's name was still gray. He wasn't here. I'm not here. You don't have to look for him. I just changed the data. Do you think I'm stupid? I won't appear. Ha ha ha. The little person laughed maniacally. The little person disappeared after laughing, and the laptop screen went black. King idiot. He only knew how to hide. Coward. Shishang threw the laptop away and sneered. Mubai, keep laughing. The information in the laptop must have been destroyed by that idiot. She didn't have a mission in this direction. Mubai must have destroyed the information for one purpose, to disgust her. This idiot was really indescribably disgusting. Shishang left the office. When he passed by the glass room, he casually broke the glass. The experimental subjects inside seemed to want to rush up, but when Shishang turned around, they shrank back. These experimental subjects looked at her as if she was delicious food. Their eyes lit up, but they were afraid of her. What king contradiction. Shishang destroyed all the glass rooms. After she left, these experimental subjects who had lost their minds finally regained their senses. They looked around in confusion. The floor was full of broken glass. The lights above their heads were buzzing. The doctor who had experimented on them was lying in the middle of the corridor. His body was covered in blood. Dead. Although Richie was dead, this group of people hated him to the core. They brutally whipped Richie's corpse. After venting their anger, this group of people ran out. After being locked in this dark place for so long, they could finally leave. Chapter 1357. Inside the administration building in Division 7. The Xenogeniacs surrounded the administration building. The people who were trapped in the building looked out of the windows. Their nerves were tense. Don't be afraid. They'll leave when they gather all the mutants. It's been so long. Why haven't they gathered all the mutants yet? There are so many of them outside. Are they that slow? I want to go home. All sorts of complaints could be heard. They had been surrounded by the mutants for a long time. They had been in the office all day and had never been so close to the mutants. Different mutants carried different viruses. They would use humans as vessels to breed when humans were not paying attention. It was very disgusting. Ding-ling-ling. Ding-ling-ling. The phone in the office suddenly rang crazily. The people who were still in their seats could only answer. However, there were only screams and cries for help on the other side. The calls came in one after another. It took them a while to understand what had happened from the intermittent narration. Humans were attacking humans. Yes, humans were attacking humans, not mutants. They did not care about the mutants outside. They quickly reported this to the higher-ups. Division 7 was the center of power. The person with the highest authority was the executive, Song Yuan-Ching. If the edge of the city was a country, Song Yuan-Ching would be the chairman. No, the emperor. The news quickly reached Song Yuan-Ching. Song Yuan-Ching was not old. He had just turned 30. He was a handsome and strong man. When he was not the executive, he was the crown prince. When he became the executive, he was the emperor. Emperor Song was very angry about this. What's going on? Why are humans attacking humans? The mutants are still outside. Why are humans causing trouble? Song Yuan-Ching slammed the table and angrily questioned the people sitting around him. What have you been doing? Too many things had happened in the past few days. It was normal for Song Yuan-Ching to be angry. The people in the meeting room did not dare to breathe. Who is leading the attack? Is it a mutant in disguise? Why are you still sitting? Why are you sitting? Are you going to be fed to the xenogeneics? Go and investigate. Song Yuanqing was so angry that he flipped the table. Everyone looked at each other. Just as Emperor Song was about to explode, they all ran out of the meeting room to confirm the news. Soon, they had confirmed the news and came to report it to Emperor Song. Professor Ritchie's lab has been destroyed. No one knows if Professor Ritchie is dead or alive. All of his experimental subjects have been released, and they were the ones who attacked the humans. Ritchie. Emperor Song's expression changed strangely. Go inform the special ability team to exterminate those experimental subjects. None of them were easy to deal with. He did not know which elite had killed dozens of xenogeneics, but he had also taken down the xenogeneics reconnaissance machine. Now, the xenogeneics had come looking for him. Now, he had to pay for the loss of the xenogeneics. Go to the base if you have the ability. This matter was not over yet, and something had happened to Ricky. He was so angry that he was about to have high blood pressure. The mutant team was still a secret. They couldn't let the xenogeneics know about it. Otherwise, how could they form their own mutant team? Song Yuanqing knew what was going on with the experimental subjects. The xenogeneics were out there, and they had to be dealt with as soon as possible. The Esper team that received the news immediately moved out in secret to eliminate the experimentals. Cars drove out of a building far away from the administration building one by one. They scattered and headed to the area where the attack had occurred in District 7. In one of the cars, a middle-aged man driving asked the cute girl with short hair sitting in the passenger seat with concern, "Yunduo, you used up your ability this morning. Has it recovered?" Yunduo revealed 2 dimples and said in a clear voice, "It's recovered." Captain said that Yunduo is talented. It seems that he wasn't joking. If we want to recover our abilities, it won't be so fast. A boy in the back spoke up. He had a head of golden hair, green eyes, and a high-nose bridge. He was obviously a foreigner. Humph, maybe Captain gave her something good, and she stuck with Captain all day. Xiang Kuei, that's enough. The boy scolded. Yunduo relied on her own strength. Why are you always picking on her? Xiang Kuei, who had been called, sat next to the boy. She looked mature, but there was a hint of sarcasm between her eyebrows. Io, Hall, you're so protective of her. When has she ever looked at you properly? She doesn't like Captain. Don't flatter yourself. You guys stop arguing. Yunduo was a little embarrassed. You guys are very talented. My ability isn't as powerful as yours. I still have a lot to learn from you guys. I wouldn't dare. Xiang Kuei sneered. You got Captain's favor as soon as you came in. What do I have to learn from you? Xiang Kuei, stop talking. We're here. The middle-aged man quickly interrupted the 3 youngsters. They were going to fight in a while. It was not unreasonable for Captain to ask him to watch them. The crowd in front was fleeing. The car couldn't drive in and could only stop there. Okay, don't be stubborn. Follow us later. The middle-aged man told Yunduo as he got out of the car. Don't be a burden. No one will care if you die. Xiang Kuei glared at Yunduo and got out of the car. Hall patted Yunduo's shoulder and promised, Yunduo, don't bother with her. I'll protect you. Yunduo smiled. The 2 dimples on her face were very cute. Hall's face suddenly turned red. He opened the door and got out first. The 4 of them went against the flow to the center of the attack. Yunduo had just awakened her ability. Although she had killed xenogeneics before, it was the first time she had seen such a bloody scene. The ground was littered with corpses and severed limbs. Blood dyed the ground red. Further away, there was a man covered in blood who was attacking the humans in a frenzy. The middle-aged man didn't immediately let them go forward. Instead, he observed for a while. Uncle Gu, what is his ability? Hall asked the middle-aged man. It should be a strength-type ability. Uncle Gu hesitated before answering. The experimental subject could tear people apart with his bare hands. You and Xiong Kuei go that way. I'll take Yun Duo from here. There are many people around. You guys be careful. Hall nodded. Xiong Kuei just glared at Yun Duo and didn't say anything. He led the way. Uncle Gu's observation was right. When they attacked, they knew that this was a strength-type ability user. This type of ability user was not only strong, but they also didn't die easily. Their recovery speed was very fast. Therefore, strength-type ability users were not easy to deal with. This was Yunduo's first time dealing with a human. She was a little nervous. There were a few times when she was almost hurt by the experimental subject. Hall and Uncle Gu blocked for her once. Don't let him go that way. Yunduo, stop him. Hall shouted at Yunduo. Yunduo immediately used her ability. The air around them began to freeze. The experimental subject's running speed slowed. Uncle Gu grabbed the experimental subject from the side and threw him to the ground. Chapter 1358. Just as they were about to subdue the experimental subject, a figure suddenly appeared from the alley in the distance. There was a large group of mutants chasing after him. They were not mistaken. It was a mutant. A large group. The entrance of the alley was like a crack that had been torn open. Mutants swarmed out from inside. The scene was extremely spectacular. And in front of the group of mutants was none other than Shi Sheng. Shi Sheng was also very innocent. This group of beasts suddenly appeared and chased after her without saying anything. She killed a group, but who knew that another group would appear? The alley was too small to unleash her full potential, so she had to run out of the alley. Who knew that she would meet the female lead under such circumstances? It was indeed the plot's fault. Shi Sheng ran to a more spacious place and immediately turned around. He waved his iron sword. Red flowers appeared in the air where the blade brushed past. They spun around the blade twice and suddenly expanded, attacking the mutants in the distance. Cloud's team of 4 watched as a large group of mutants was affected by the strange wreath. They were scattered and unable to resist. It was as if they were watching a legendary blockbuster. They had heard that the most powerful mutant could only kill 5 mutants at a time. She had killed a group of them. It was so easy to kill a group of them. What kind of power was this? Shi Sheng thought that there were no more mutants behind them. Who knew that there were still black mutants rushing towards them from the depths of the alley? Shi Sheng put away his sword, turned around, and ran. Kill the female lead first. Shi Sheng ran between them. The experimental subject lying on the ground suddenly got up, knocked Uncle Gu aside, and ran after Shi Sheng. The two quickly disappeared around the corner. Rumble! The sound coming from the box frightened Uncle Gu. He rushed to the 3 people who were still in a daze. Run! Shi Sheng looked at the experimental subject squatting beside him and scratched his chin. No, why are you following me? The experimental subject had returned to normal. He shook his head with a simple and honest expression. I don't know. I just want to follow you. Shi Sheng. He had been following her since they came out of the street just now. He was actually not slower than her. At first, his eyes were red, but when she squatted on the roof, his eyes had returned to normal. Why was this guy following her instead of going to the news agency? There was no meat to eat. Down the street, Cloud and the others had arrived. The xenogeneics behind them were like a flood. The road was concave, and Shi Sheng's roof was at the bottom of the concave. What was even more unfortunate was that this was the back of the corridor, and there was no way to go upstairs. Therefore, Yun Duo and the others were trapped. Hurry up and climb up. Hall pointed at a pipe beside him and let the Cloud climb up. She's up there. Xiong Kuei pointed at Shi Sheng, who was squatting on the roof. Hey, you're the one who brought these xenogeneics here. You should kill them. She was so powerful that these xenogeneics were just a piece of cake for her. I'm sorry, my skill is still on cooldown. Shi Sheng waved at Kuei. Good luck. What do you mean I provoked it? I don't even know where this group of mutants came from, okay? It's none of I's business. Xiang Kuei was speechless. Do you think this is a game? Skills on cooldown. Where did this crazy woman come from? Xiang Kuei and the others didn't have time to argue with Shi Sheng. The Xenogeneics behind them were almost catching up. Hall let Cloud climb first, followed by Xiang Kuei, and himself and Uncle Gu. However, most of the Xenogeneics were good climbers. Before Cloud could reach the top, the Xenogeneics forced them down. The four of them had already used up a lot of their powers to deal with the experimental subjects that were squatting beside Shi Sheng. Now that there were so many Xenogeneics, they couldn't hold on for long. Shi Sheng ate sunflower seeds and looked at the battle below. The Xenogeneics didn't seem to have any intention of coming up. They were only attacking the female lead's team. It turned out that these Xenogeneics weren't here for her. To be able to attract so many Xenogeneics, she had to be at least at the female lead's level. Shi Sheng turned to look at the experimental subject. His clothes were stained with blood, and he could only vaguely see the number 22 printed on his chest. Experimental subject 22 scratched his head and said, "I think I've seen you before. I broke into the lab. It's normal to see me." Huh? Experimental subject 22's face was full of disbelief. You released us from the lab? Shi Sheng turned back to look at the female lead being tortured by the Xenogeneics below. You don't have to thank me. Go to the newspaper if you need to. Don't revolve around me. Experimental subject 22 scratched his head. No. I didn't see you at that time. At that time he had lost his mind. He had no idea who had broken into the lab and killed that bastard Richie. We're from the same lab. What's so strange about that? Shi Sheng rolled his eyes. The same lab. Experimental subject 22 repeated this sentence several times. Suddenly, he slapped his forehead. Your name is Zhong Tan, right? Shi Sheng cracked sunflower seeds. Yes. Is there a problem? Experimental subject 22 shook his head. No. I just didn't expect you to be alive. Shi Sheng rolled his eyes. If I wasn't alive, would you have come out? That's true. When I first saw you, you were tied to an operating table with tubes all over your body. If I hadn't heard them say that you were still alive, I wouldn't have believed that you were still alive. That's right, Lin Sanju said. Shi Sheng searched through the host's memories but couldn't find this memory. However, there was a period of time when the host was often in a daze. There would always be some inexplicable puncture marks on her body. It seemed that those people had drugged her. Shi Sheng was a little interested. He gave a handful of sunflower seeds to experimental subject 22. What were they doing to Zhong Mi? Experimental subject 22 was flattered and took it. I don't know. There were many people surrounding you. I didn't stay there for long before I was moved to another room. He frowned and paused. But I heard someone say that your supernatural ability was unstable and that you needed more drugs to stimulate it. I didn't understand what they said after that. That was the first time I heard the word supernatural ability. The people who came in with me were injected with a kind of serum. They said that they could awaken supernatural abilities. Experimental subject 22's eyes were full of hatred. I failed to awaken my supernatural ability. They locked all the people who failed in one place. They didn't allow us to go out or contact the outside world. We became guinea pigs. When they needed people to do experiments, they chose from these people. That's quite pitiful. Shi Sheng sighed. Experimental subject 22. She was in a worse situation at that time. Who was the pitiful one here? Shi Sheng supported his chin. That's not right. How could they let you see me? According to the settings, this experiment was absolutely confidential. Richie couldn't let ordinary people see her. Even those who had awakened their supernatural abilities didn't know where they came from. Yes. You were separated by a curtain. But when I went in, someone happened to come out. When the curtain was lifted, I saw you. Because, your condition really left a deep impression on me, so it's hard to forget. Shi Shang looked at him suspiciously. Although it made sense, there were still some suspicious points. She held the sunflower seeds and didn't talk to experimental subject 22 anymore. Chapter 1359. Bang! The xenogeneics outside were blown away, and a car appeared in Shi Shang's sight. A man was standing on top of the car. He was gathering lightning in his hand and throwing it at the xenogeneics. The xenogeneics were blown away when they were thrown in, but they were only blown away. They could get up after a few seconds of dizziness. It's a lightning power. Test subject 22 looked envious. Lightning power was the most effective against xenogeneics, but it was also used up very quickly. The car drove in from outside, and the four people who were almost desperate saw hope again. Get in the car! The man in the car shouted at them, blowing away the xenogeneics that wanted to pounce on them. Xiang Kuei was the first to get in the car, followed by Cloud. Just as Uncle Gu and Hall were about to get in, a few xenogeneics suddenly pounced on the man on top of the car at the same time, successfully blocking the man's view. Ah! Hall screamed as he was pulled out from the side of the car by the xenogeneics. His leg was torn open with a bloody wound. Uncle Gu hugged Hall's upper body, and he and the xenogeneics each pulled him. Uncle Gu! Uncle Gu, let go! Hall's face was full of pain. He used all his strength to pry Uncle Gu's hand away, and his body was pulled out by the xenogeneics, drowning in the xenogeneics. Bang! There was a violent explosion among the xenogeneics. Uncle Gu grabbed the car door, and his angry and sorrowful face seemed to have aged a lot. He couldn't even protect a junior. The people in the car didn't have time to mourn Hall. The most important thing for them now was to rush out. However, the car was surrounded by xenogeneics, and it could barely move. The car had been modified, and the xenogeneics couldn't break it open. There was a strange silence in the car. The cries and howls outside were like a tune of death, playing for them. The man in the driver's seat held the steering wheel tightly, and his eyes fell on the xenogeneics outside. The cold light was like a sharp blade, piercing into their bodies. Xiang Kuei suddenly said, pointing at the faintly visible roof. She can save us. Who? The man turned his head and looked in the direction Xiang Kuei was pointing at. There were two figures squatting on the roof, and they looked like they were watching a good show that had nothing to do with them. Who are they? The xenogeneics were attracted by that woman. Uncle Gu's voice was hoarse. She is very powerful. She killed a group of xenogeneics in one hit. A hint of surprise flashed across the man's eyes. One move. He had never heard of anyone being able to kill a group of xenogeneics in one hit. We saw it with our own eyes. Xiang Kuei nodded. Captain, she can save us. We can ask her for help. If she wanted to save him, she would have done it a long time ago. The man who was called the captain turned around. He did not place his hope on a stranger. Xiang Kuei's previous arrogance and domineering attitude disappeared, leaving only an unconcealable fear. Her voice trembled as she said, Captain, the car won't last long. How could she not be afraid when surrounded by so many xenogeneics? I'll get you out of here. The captain's tone was calm and firm. Shi Shang was waiting for the xenogeneics to destroy them. Even if they couldn't be destroyed, they would at least be crippled. But after waiting for a long time, the car seemed to be on fire. The mutant was almost turned upside down, but it still couldn't be smashed open. F***CK, the main character's props were all cheats. What made Shi Shang even more surprised was what happened next. The xenogeneics suddenly stopped attacking and looked up at Shi Shang. Then, as if they had received some kind of order, they all rushed toward her. F***CKU. Shi Shang jumped up from the roof and cursed angrily. Why did they come for her again? What happened to killing the main character? How could you idiots give up halfway? You can't be like this as a human being. Ah, no, a xenogeneic. Don't you know that perseverance is the key to victory? All the xenogeneics gave up on the car and rushed to the roof. Everyone in the car was dumbfounded. Xiang Kuei lay in the back and looked at the roof through the cracked glass. She couldn't see anything as the xenogeneics completely flooded the roof. At this moment, countless red flowers spread out in a circle. Wherever the wreath touched, it instantly shattered as if it had been cut into pieces by a sharp blade. It was a beautiful and bloody massacre. Captain, look. Xiang Kuei pointed at the scene. She used this move before. What's her superpower? It's so powerful. The captain had already started the car, but he didn't. He just looked at the scene on the rooftop. Countless pieces of xenogeneics fell from the sky, and disgusting mucus splashed everywhere. The car window was almost completely covered by the mucus. He could only see the person standing on the rooftop through the small gaps. He didn't know how powerful her soul was, but she had the arrogance of a ruler. At this moment, he was shocked. He was shocked that a girl could have such a powerful aura. Captain, the xenogeneics are coming. Cloud was the first to come back to her senses. She patted the captain's seat hard. We can't get out. The street that had been empty was filled with countless xenogeneics running in front of them. What's going on? Why are there so many xenogeneics? Uncle Gu was shocked. How did they come down? The xenogeneics had reconnaissance planes, and they also had a special surveillance system. How could they not notice so many xenogeneics running to the ground? There were so many xenogeneics behind the street that they couldn't see how many there were. The captain made a prompt decision. Get out of the car and go to the rooftop. The car couldn't withstand another wave of attack. If they attacked, they would die without a doubt. The people in the car quickly got out. The captain pulled Cloud and kicked open the door of a building next to them. They rushed to the rooftop from this building. The floors above were all connected, so they could reach the rooftop where Shishang was. However, when they ran to the rooftop, Shishang was already on the rooftop next door. There were about 5 or 6 meters between them. Everyone's face turned pale. How did she get there? Captain. They're coming up. The xenogeneics climbed up the building nimbly and blocked them on the rooftop. Looking from the rooftop, the street below was filled with xenogeneics. Looking from afar, they were all xenogeneics. There seemed to be human screams coming from afar. They were in pain and despair. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Xenogeneic fighter jets began to appear in the sky, covering the sky of Division 7 like moths. Shishang looked up at the fighter jets, biting a sunflower seed and thinking. Were the xenogeneics going to start a full-scale war? What's wrong with them? There was no such thing in the plot. Shishang bit the sunflower seed shell, and the meat inside was rolled out by the tip of his tongue. Mu Bai. Other than this idiot, no one else would dare to steal her kill. Shishang bit the sunflower seed as if it was Mu Bai. Damn idiot. Asterisk, this is a fake group. Mu Bai. Ha ha ha, bite me. I won't come out. Shishang, as a human, you have to act tough. Mu Bai. Speak human language. Shishang. Dogs don't understand human language. Mu Bai. You're scolding me? Shishang. But face, hurry up and bring your kind back. System. Don't think I'm a dog just because I'm called Buttface. I have nothing to do with dogs. Thank you. Mu Bai. Just you wait. System. What does this have to do with me? System notification. Mu Bai absconded with the ticket. Little fairy. Wait, why did you steal my ticket when you were fighting? There's cat biscuits. Give me back my ticket. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.